morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Kincade Salciunas, get the hell out of the studio. You guys are done.
Our time.
It's our turn. And by our, I mean me and Amy Fadul. As we get marching on today, lots of good talk going on. Amy, you doing good?
Doing well. Happy to be here.
Happy that you're here. You are our ray of sunshine, even though you have sunburn on the back of your leg from golfing yesterday.
One spot I missed.
One spot you missed. You can't miss that spot. We got Ray Dunn producing. You know how it all starts. We're going to get into the stories, but first, we got to look at the beginning of the paper.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
You're fighting Phils. Aw, man, doesn't it suck when they don't have a game? Well, last night sucked because they didn't have a game. The Braves, they won 3-0 over the Padres. That's right, Amy, I'm doing it. I'm looking at that second-place team and seeing how things are going. Well, the Phillies still sit at 34-14. They're 5 games up on the Atlanta Braves. Tonight, they get Texas, the Texas Rangers, the defending World Series champions. But guess what? Those defending champions are only a 500 baseball team right now. And they have lost 8 of their last 11 games. Tonight's the start of a 3-game series before going out west. Phillies will then go to Colorado and San Francisco. But it's Ranger Day. I love how this has become a thing. It's Ranger Day. It's Ranger Day. Ranger Suarez takes the mound. 8-0, 1.37 ERA. He's got a good opponent tonight. John Gray's a good pitcher. Only 2-1 on the year. He's got a 2.08 ERA. So the Phillies are going to have the bats going tonight because Gray's probably going to give you some innings, and they'll be good ones. The series continues tomorrow with Taijuan Walker going for the Phillies on Thursday at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock game, early game because the Phillies are going out west afterwards. You will get Zach Wheeler. Your Philadelphia Eagles, OTAs, who was it? Jeff McClain this morning on the morning show said that they'll be gathering, like tomorrow will be the first time I think the media is going to see them all together. So the Eagles are getting ready. Amy, we talked about obsessions last week.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with all the defensive unknowns that I have swirling around in my mind.
You're obsessed with it.
I swear I am.
You can't.
Anytime people talk about, 13 wins, I'm like, oh my God. This is nuts. I just don't agree with it. Sorry, I'm not there yet. I need questions answered by that defense first. What are some of the stories that you might want to see coming out of OTAs? Usually they're, I'll just tell you how the business works when you're doing stories. You're going to have a whole bunch of people gathered at these OTAs. You're assigned to do a story. Many times it will be, I'm going to write about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and everybody else 1,000 times during the season. Let me get the guy that's on the fringe. Let me talk about the guy that, here's an undrafted dude that might make...
What's his story?
Right. That's the guys you're going to hear stories about, maybe even overplayed a little bit. But that's what you expect. But what are some of the stories you need or want to hear coming out of OTAs or just leading up to training camp? Your 76ers... The headline still is, what are they going to do? What would you do? So many opinions being bantered about. We heard a lot of them on the morning show today. Amy and I might give you a few more today. Keith Pompey was on the radio station yesterday talking even more about LeBron James. It's not going to stop.
No, not until he decides what he's doing.
Yeah, it's not going to stop. And the push back and forth will go on. Oh, Dave's on the line. Good. Dave, we'll get to you in a minute. Do you feel the wavering on Joel Embiid? It's a question I want to get into with Amy because there are some people that I have talked to through the years that, obviously you love the talent of Joel Embiid. They've kind of started leaning towards, what can you get for him? What can you get for him? A couple years ago, Aim, on this very radio station, I said that while they were listening to trade talks for Ben Simmons, they should also just ask the question, what if we said Embiid was available? What would you do? I got lambasted. I mean, people, you want to trade Embiid? No, I wasn't saying that. I'm talking about maybe in the future that might come to the day. Has that day come for you? Are you wavering a little bit there? On the national scene, Eastern Conference Final tonight, Indiana Pacers at the Boston Celtics, 8 o'clock game. Amy Fadul, have you looked at the line for this game? Be honest.
I have not.
What do you think the line is for this game tonight? Indiana Pacers at Boston Celtics. Indiana just played on
Double digits.
Sunday. Wow.
11?
Wow. How about 10? Very good.
There you go.
I didn't think it'd be that high. I think.
I mean, the Celtics have been lying in wait. The Pacers.
I know. I think that helps the Pacers a little bit. I think the Pacers are going to start out strong in this game.
They have to.
Maybe they'll falter a little bit at the end, but I have a feeling they're going to make a good showing early. In the NHL, you had the Edmonton Oilers beat the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver last night. So they advanced to the Western Conference Finals to face the Dallas Stars. I think I could watch the Edmonton Oilers play hockey every night of the week.
It is a fun brand of hockey,
It
isn't
really
it?
is. And I watched.
That was a great game.
I watched into the third period last night. Here was my nightly viewing last night. Indiana Fever. Mm-hmm. I watched that game at 7 o'clock. Took that until 9:15. It was on ESPN, and then it went right into the hockey game. So watched some Caitlin Clark last night. They lost again. They're 0-4. It seemed like in the fourth quarter of that game that Caitlin Clark started to act like her old self.
Yeah.
And Holly Rowe came out after the game and said as much. Like she said, yeah, I'm trying to respect my teammates, but I need to get going. And she did last night in the fourth quarter. Had 17 points total, but was really good passing the ball and getting the offense going in the fourth quarter. Weird thing, and it happened again last night. Game 7, visiting winners over the past few days. You had the Indiana Pacers. You had the Minnesota Timberwolves. You had the Edmonton Oilers. Crazy stuff.
Timberwolves game. Whoa.
Yeah, that was just wild. So there it is. There's your front page stories that we have going on today as things start to wind down a little bit in some areas, but then seem to ramp up in other areas. Look, when you have a friend on the phone, I usually don't go to the lines in the first segment, Aim. I don't usually because, usually we set up the show and then we'll go
here's
to
what
it.
we're going to talk about.
But Dave in Ben Salem is a good friend of the show, so I want to get to him right away. Dave, how are you today, buddy?
Hey, good morning, Bob. Good morning, Amy. Always great to hear you on the radio with Bob. How you guys doing?
Doing great, buddy.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, before I make my call, I just want to send my thoughts out to Pat and Jan and everybody else from your sister stations who unfortunately lost their jobs because of these cuts.
Appreciate
All right,
that,
sorry
Dave.
to get that out there, but I just want them guys to know that I'm thinking of them and I love them.
That's nice.
As we all do. Thanks, Dave.
Without a doubt. So we're definitely going to talk Phils, Bobby. I mean, this is the Ranger team. You said they're not that good this year, but look at the last few series. They've owned us every time we played them. We've got to win this series. Even if we don't, I'll take 2 out of 3.
Okay. Are we putting more emphasis on this series, Dave, because of two things? One, they're the defending World Series champions, and because the Phillies have been playing, according to a lot of people, and it's my first topic today, a lot of cupcakes this year.
Oh, without a doubt. Now, this is going to be a test. I know they're not playing as well. It's obviously important to get tonight with Ranger pitching because I think you announced he said Taiwan's going to pitch tomorrow, correct?
Right.
So you want to try to get this first one, and then you got Zach for Thursday. So road trip, we'll take it as it comes. Just play this series and, just try to win it, and then we'll go on the road and just keep playing good baseball.
All right. I'm down with that, Dave. Appreciate the call as always.
You guys have a great day, and always enjoy listening to you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
buddy.
Dave.
Much appreciated. So that was my first kind of topic going into today. It's starting to get on my nerves that people – I shouldn't say on my nerves. I don't want to put anybody down. We had some callers yesterday who were doing the yeah buts. Oh, yeah, they're 34-14, but who have they played? I don't care. Yeah, we'll see what they do in the playoffs. They haven't won a World Series since 2008. Okay. Am I looking at Fandom wrong in that every season is different and you never know what you're going to see? And if you just say, I'll watch the Sixers if they get out of the second round, you might miss something pretty cool. Or how can you be a fan with that kind of an attitude?
You said it because when we were talking about it was the game before Joel Embiid dropped 50. Like, they're not going to get out of the first round, so I'm not going to watch. You would have missed that game. You would have missed an historic performance. You would miss games from a lot of teams. Oh, they can't win on the road. It's game 7. You can't go and win. You would have missed all those great games that we've seen the last couple of days. So I hear you in the fact, and I hear people when they say that, and I understand where it comes from. The carryover from season to season is strong here in Philadelphia in particular. This is the only place I feel like it's there because we are so invested in our teams here, right? So it's not just like, hey, I just started paying attention 6 months ago to the team. I've been paying attention to this team and this town for 30, 40, 50 years. So they see it and they look for the trends, and I get that. But that doesn't mean just because you can't you can still have joy with also looking at a team objectively.
Sure.
And I feel like that there are people have to have the separation of like, oh no, you can't participate in the joy. You have to look at this team hasn't played in anybody. Why can't you do both?
Yeah.
Why can't you appreciate the fact that they are on a historic pace? They're having the best start in 30 years. Like, enjoy it. This is fun. I know that they haven't played, the Dodgers every single series. No one is going to play the Dodgers and the Braves every single series. You play who you play, you beat who you beat, and they're destroying these teams.
Well, here's something that I put together for yesterday that I only hit on a little bit so I can carry it over into today. People say, oh, they're not playing anybody. Everybody they play stinks. They're playing a bunch of AAA teams. Okay, let me say this. 1/3, that's 10, of this is going into after Sunday. 1/3 of all Major League Baseball teams are more than 2 games above 500. That's
There you
it.
go.
That's it. Just 1/3 of them. Only 1/3 of them are 2 games or more above 500. 16 of them, more than half of Major League Baseball teams, are 500 or below.
So
What-
you're
what can
always
you
going to
do?
play a team. Yeah, that's just the nature of the beast.
What are you going to do? It's like, it was funny because, the Braves did go 1-1 yesterday. I missed the doubleheader. I'm sorry. Rick Talco just texted me. I had the Braves won
Thanks for
one
listening,
game.
Ricky.
Yeah, the Braves must have won the afternoon and lost the night because I just looked to see
I
their
saw the
score.
night game. I didn't know it was a
realize
doubleheader.
I did know they had a doubleheader yesterday, but my fault. Thank you, Ricky. Good job, buddy. So I'm just getting tired of it. Like, I'm sorry, the Phillies are playing good baseball, and I use this story all the time about the San Antonio Spurs when they were good and they killed the 76ers. They just went about their business. There's something good to that. Mm-hmm. There's not anything not good about this Phillies team right now. You can say, oh, well, last year, I don't know, they lost to Arizona.
That was last year.
That was last year. I don't know what to
possibly
tell
learn
you.
from that. I think that, and we've addressed that before. I think them losing to Arizona last year has set this start up. I think this team, they walk into every single game thinking, yep. Every starting pitcher looks at the other and goes, yep, you got I got tomorrow. They have the confidence in themselves, and I think it comes from the frustration of how cold that they all went in that NLCS. That was a team that was steamrolled. That NLDS was amazing. They're out of the gates. Everybody's hitting. Good times. Beat the Braves. And then just to fall off the cliff the way they did. I think that carries over for this team. I think this team is very focused right now. And they're not taking any of these opponents that are below them in the standings or whatever, below 500, lightly. Yeah, the Nationals. Okay, they took them to extras the one. The rest of the games, yep, what we're going to do is 10 runs, 9 runs. We're going to go ahead and bury you.
Yeah.
Because you're the Nationals, and we can.
All right, so before I get to Ray, I'll ask you this. I just don't it's my first subject. How can you not watch a team that you say you're a fan of because of things that have happened in years past? I can't do it. I say this all the time, and it was from like a coaching standpoint before. If my kids were playing, I want to take something out of every game. Like if my kid played in a game and they lost by 30, if it was basketball, or they lost, 5-0 in soccer, what can you take out of the game? What did you take out of the game? I would tell my kids, there has to be something. I look at every season like that. I look at every game like that. You take something else. If you're not watching now, you're missing Ranger Suarez. You might be missing a guy who could become, I don't know, like the 6th Philly to win a Cy Young Award. Like, that's not good. So that's how I look at it. I'm going to relate it to a different sport with you, though. Mm-hmm. Your Kentucky basketball team hasn't had all that much success of late. No. And for those who can't see, Amy closed her eyes and shook her head in a very, sad way.
Yes.
Do you say, why am I watching because they're not going to do anything in the tournament? Or are you still a fan?
I'm still a fan. You know this.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that. I just don't understand people that aren't that way.
I think, yeah. But the thing is, I think they're still watching. They're just not appreciating it for what it is. Do you know what I mean? I think
guess.
People watch and they're like, oh, that was good, but.
That's a horrible way to look at things.
It's a tough way to go.
I'm not mad. I feel bad. I do. Yeah, I feel sad.
It's a tough way to be. I understand it. Like you mentioned the carryover and taking something away from it. I don't go back into this series. Actually, I talked to somebody yesterday and I said, wow, this team's really set up nicely. You think October is going to be a lot of fun. And he looked at me and goes, I'm enjoying May.
Yeah.
Just a random person that I was chit-chatting with on the golf course. I'm enjoying May. I don't try to get ahead of myself. But I understand the people that do because it's carryover. So let's go back to that Diamondback series. Don't you think those guys think about that? they're not maybe thinking about it on a random game in May 21st, but it's in the back of their mind of we've got to stay focused because we know what it takes to get there. We were in the World Series 2 years ago. We were close last year, and we just let up.
I think it's a huge factor into this season.
I think it's exactly why they started this way.
Yeah, I think and we've heard people around the team, I think Tom McCarthy brought it up, there's a chip on the shoulder. Like, these guys aren't happy.
They knew they were better than the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and, when you talk about a Castellanos and a Harper and the other guys that just did, Schwarber, I think, that just didn't hit, they're pissed.
Yeah.
And, it was a talking point of Rob Thompson that he wanted to start this season off well. Mm-hmm. Well, they're doing it so far. Ray, okay, you're a Temple guy. Whether you go football, basketball, whatever, there hasn't probably been the success that you've wanted, that you cheer for, all of that. Do you go into seasons and be like, yeah, why do I care because they're going to be 500 or whatever? Maybe you do. I'm just wondering.
I do not.
With nothing.
You don't do that. I understand for some people with certain organizations where they could feel like they've watched a similar movie, but like the Phillies, you haven't really watched the similar movie. Like, this has been 2 years of this. Like, you are still very much in a window where, they haven't gotten the ultimate job done. 2022, if you went into October thinking that was going to happen, you're a liar.
Right,
because
exactly.
No one did. No one. Most of the people were calling this station and saying, well, why are they even going to make the playoffs? Because they're just backing their way in. They're going to lose to the Cardinals. It's going to all be over within a couple of days.
I didn't have them winning that series against the Cardinals.
And that's
But you still
common.
watched it.
Yeah, that's common across everyone. But 2022, that was like the, wow, look, the arrival of the moment. Last year, they came up short of the expectations you had for them. So they have not met your expectations once in that 2-year span because they exceeded them in 2022. You're lying to yourself if you're saying that they didn't in 2022. Last year, they fell short. This year, they have come out of the gates red hot. They have not gotten to that lethargic, wow, this team just continues to let me down in this championship window. I can't get to the point where people are sitting here like, yep, this is just going to end the same old way. What is the same old way with this group?
That's a good point.
If you do that, what is sports? I mean, if you believe you know the answer all the time, well, then what's the goodness of sports? Like, to me, the goodness of sports is you never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
And we look at this start. If they were not where they were right now, let's say instead of 34-14, let's say they're right there with the Braves, like about tied with the Braves, and they've lost a couple of series to a couple of bad teams. People say, well, they're not taking care of business when they need to because look at what the schedule is, and they haven't gained the ground that they need to potentially either win this division, finish wherever you want them to finish this season. Now that they're actually doing it, you're upset because it's against teams that you don't want. I'm just curious for some people out there, what exactly do you need to see from the Phillies to feel yourself secure in this start?
So it goes to my first question of the day. And you can check in with us at 610-632-0975. The question is this. Do you look at sports as the escape that I think it should be, that I think Amy and Ray both think it should be, the funness of it? Like, can you watch sports that way? Or are you so emotionally invested that it's almost a chore for you to be a fan? And I ask that here in the Philadelphia area because I can't ask this question up in Boston. I don't think I could ask this question in like down in Dallas now or in Texas because, you have good things going. The frustration level is understandable here. Is it a chore for you to be a fan, do you feel, here in Philadelphia? Or do you take every season as it is and try to find the fun in it? Let us know about that one. 610-632-0975. Do you think we're putting a lot more on this Phillies series because of what I said to Dave, that it's the defending World Series champion?
It's a good pitcher. It's a good lineup. You look across in the other dugout and you see a lot of talent there, and they're producing in ways. Obviously, they don't have the exact same record as the Phillies, but they're a team that is – you expect in October for them that's going to be quite fun down there in Arlington. So I would think that there's expectations put on them. Phillies they're not immune to that. I think that's what people realize or need to realize. The Phillies know who they're playing. They know that they're playing the Pirates and the Angels and the Nationals and the White Sox. They know that. They don't care. They're going out there and beating that team. So I think that they realize, okay, it's the Rangers. We got our guy. We like who we got.
Yeah.
And I think they do like who they have. They think that they can stack up and beat with any team in baseball. And that confidence is why they've gotten off to this start, because they believe in themselves. The team a couple years ago, the 2022 team that surprised everybody, they figured out in the end, they had a horrible start to the season.
Yeah.
Horrible. You were thinking they backed into the playoffs.
Yep.
Because of a slow start. So to Ray's point, if you didn't start like this, okay, and then you have your lull, you're already ahead of the game. So enjoy it. It's fun. It's a fun team to watch.
It is. It's a very fun team to watch. And how you watch it is always a huge interest of mine. I love the way people see games differently. Whether you're watching a different area of it, whether your mind is different than what mine may be watching the game. So that's why I'm asking this question right now. How do you feel as a Philadelphia sports fan now? Is it a chore for you to be one because you haven't gone away with the championships an awful lot? Or are you more like me, Amy, and Ray, where, no, every season's different. You try to get the joy out of it, and it's all interesting in that way. Which one is it? Where do you fall? 610-632-0975. Would love to hear from you on it. If you can't call, you can text in that same number. But we'd love to hear from you. Is it a chore, or do you just love every individual season that you get?
Joy.
Pure joy. We have Amy Fadul with us all day long. I am Bob Cooney. Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back on this beautiful Tuesday. The string of today's Tuesday, Wednesday. I think we get 2 straight days of pretty good. Yesterday was nice too.
Yesterday was nice.
Yeah, so 3 straight days of really nice weather. Before Thursday, it gets a little wonky, and then I don't think the weekend's gonna. I hate to do this.
Yeah,
I hate
every
to say
weekend it feels like it rains at some point every weekend.
Yeah, and
I think it's Saturday, maybe some rain.
Yeah, and then the temperature dips. Like we're getting nice 80s yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And then, it gets wonky for the week. Now, if my memory serves correct, we used to belong to a pool down where we lived before, and we had, great group of friends there. I remember Memorial Day weekend not usually being all that great.
It's hit or miss here, and I feel like we've seen that. It's just like early May kind of temperatures sometimes on Memorial Day. You'll have it could be 70 and 75 and sunny. It also could be like 61 and cloudy and rain. So I feel like it's going to be okay.
It'll be great. As long as, look, you can always find fun in my book.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't matter if it's
Pools
80 degrees outside or raining. There's
Someone's
always
pool's open.
Somebody's pool's open. Somebody's garage is open.
Exactly.
Somebody's base, like somewhere you can go have fun.
Someone's refrigerator is stocked.
That's right. So we hope you all have a great weekend coming up. But we got to get through the week first. And as Ray said today, we went down to get a cup of coffee. We noticed that traffic on City Avenue was just like crazy backed up. And Ray had the synopsis of, the analysis that everybody's just trying to get into work for the next couple of days so they can get out of work on either Thursday and Friday.
Showing face. It's smart.
Yeah.
It is. You show face early.
Face early in the week.
Then when you leave Thursday, you're like, bye, everybody.
Do you frown upon the people that use their vacation time to take some days off?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not the slightest.
Okay.
Take your time off.
You might have been making fun of somebody during the break about taking some time off.
Somebody's vacation is another person's opportunity.
He only acts like this when you're here. I just realized that.
No.
That's not true.
Yeah, he gets a little crusty when you're here.
That's not true.
I think he's trying to show off or something.
I would never call Ray crusty, ever.
Like yesterday.
With the mustache, man.
That was a very finite time.
Yesterday, he almost had me in tears with his praise of me. Like, he's saying, I shouldn't say praise. He was saying something very, very nice yesterday about me and about the weekend. I was like, oh, look at Ray. And then you come in, he turns into like...
That's not true. That goodwill was
Did you remember to do this?
Yeah, it was just the one.
We know how bad your memory is.
I said I wouldn't make any memory jokes, and then you gave me the opportunity to make one, and I wasn't going to swing and miss at that.
You looked for it.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You asked me a question.
And had you remembered to do what I asked you about, it wouldn't have been a joke.
All right, well, here's the question we have out to you, Fandom, today. And we want to hear from you on this because I think it's interesting the way people look at sports differently. 610-632-0975. Do you feel like it's a chore being a fan of Philadelphia sports right now? Do you feel like you watch seasons and it's season after season, you come away feeling horrible, and it's become somewhat of a chore? Because it has been close lately, Aim. Mm-hmm. You had the Eagles in a Super Bowl. You had the Phillies in a World Series and another game away from another World Series. The Sixers, as I went over yesterday, yes, they haven't been able to get out of the second round. We've had a lot of 50-plus win seasons. You've had a number 1 seed. You've had expectations of that. You could say that was a kick in the gut. All but the Flyers have been really competitive over the last, 5 to 7 years. They haven't gotten you championships. Is that a chore to be a fan, or do you allow yourself to enjoy it? Do you take every season as, all right, here comes another one. I'm going to watch, I'm going to enjoy, and see what happens?
I think some people conflate joy and hope, and they can't have one without the other. Just because
That's interesting.
Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like if you're saying, like, oh, my gosh, are you excited for the Sixers season if this was last off season going into this past year, if you ask the general person that you saw on the street, Sixers start on Tuesday, Sixers getting ready to start their season, there was a little bit of a deflating. Not because they didn't want to watch the season, but because it was such a tough way. And I remember I asked somebody, he's like, why aren't you looking forward to this? Oh, after last year. I'm like, yeah, but this is a whole new year. They got Nick Nurse. Yeah, there's some excitement in there. I was like, why can't you have it? Why don't you enjoy that? Because there's no hope. But I'm like, that's a little different though.
Wow, this is good.
Right?
This is psychological,
Because
Amy.
I was like, I thought, well, what do you mean there's no hope? Well, there's no way that they're going to, okay, you're defeating it. But you can still enjoy the season. Well, yeah, I'm still going to watch. Okay, well, all right, then do that. Don't confuse joy with hope. You can still enjoy everything, and then if you can't, That's like, well, there's no hope, well, then therefore I'm out. You know what I mean? I feel
Yeah.
like that there's a finer line there.
There is. And it's funny. The talk on the morning show today, which I thought was really interesting, was about how the NBA is built now and how these younger teams seem to be doing and all that. But then you go through the roster and you look, there's a good sprinkling of younger players. And you look at some guys that, got drafted second round or late first round and guys that you barely knew in college that are contributing very well. But if you look at mainstays, there's guys there with 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
There's the 12-year guy. There's the, even Mike Conley coming out, 16-year guy, him coming out and playing and doing what he does. You're going to have that veteran stuff there. And like Karl Anthony Towns, and this shocked me yesterday, he's in his 8th year.
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, like it took them that long to get only to where they are now, which is a conference final. Sometimes it takes longer for star players, and I don't put him in the scale of a Joel Embiid, but where he was taken and the expectations of him, you have to consider him one of the stars in the league. Sometimes it takes time.
And then you have to have other people buying in, doing everything that you want to do as far as the coaching and the system and whatever. And he's got Anthony Edwards there. I think they've got when they made the move to bring in Rudy Gobert, I remember thinking, ugh, is that going to work? And at first, it did not. It failed pretty miserably the first couple of tries, first half of the season when it first, and then even the beginning parts of this season, it did not work out well. I don't know what the switch was that they did up there, but whatever it was, it's transitioned them to a different level. They work side by side so well. But on paper, that shouldn't have worked, and in actuality, it didn't work for large chunks of those two guys being there together for now 2 seasons. I think Anthony Edwards plays a big part into that. But you mentioned it. Anthony Edwards is such a young player. Would he have gotten that team to the Western Conference Finals if he didn't have Rudy Gobert?
Exactly. If he
No.
was like the
Look
guy.
at the Thunder. The Thunder had the same average age as the UNC starting lineup.
Yeah.
They were probably a year away from being a year away. And everybody thought, and I think that is a supremely talented team. And there is no doubt in my mind they will be a Western Conference Final, and they almost were this year. But you probably need one other thing. I go back to the Bucks team. They really needed Drew Holiday to get them to where they wanted to go.
Yeah.
You always need a little bit extra. So
Yeah.
for me, I think it's going to be great 2 conference finals, personally.
Yeah, so do I. I can't wait to see him. Jim G, one of our YouTube friends, and hello, YouTubers. You know how much we appreciate you. I think he puts this subject out pretty well. He says, I think we all watch, but we're protecting ourselves. We've all been kicked in the teeth so much lately.
I get that.
Yeah. So do you watch differently because of the angst that you've had?
Maybe it's a badge of honor.
You think?
I mean, I think people wear the Philadelphia badge of honor well, and rightfully so. They've earned it. You've earned being a Philadelphia fan. You've been through the trial. This is a team this is a town that celebrated the Phillies' 10,000 losses, right? I mean, that was a celebration. It was like,
Was it? I don't remember that.
yeah.
When
it
was that?
2007.
Is that right? I swear I don't remember that.
Yeah.
The town celebrated. Did you climb
I mean,
poles,
not like
Ray?
cel-
I did not. I was a little young to be climbing up
But
the pole.
people,
that's true.
it was like a celebrating. Obviously, they didn't have a parade, but it was like a badge of honor. It was talked about. This could
Losing
be
his team
this
in
could be-
sports.
This could be loss number 10,000, almost tongue in cheek. But I think you earn your stripes here, and that's why it's my favorite sports town. It's not just because I live here, and I've chosen to live here. It's a wonderful sports town. People are invested, and to his point, you do kind of protect yourself, but you're still putting yourself out there. You're
Yeah.
just trying to couch it a little bit.
That's interesting. So, on this subject, was last year kind of a microcosm of it? Like, if you're an Eagles fan, right? They start 10-1. Everything is great. Everything is really good. I shouldn't say great because there
Yeah.
was some
There
hesitation
were some
about,
cracks.
but look at how they're winning these games. Mm-hmm. Then they start to look bad. And then the free fall starts. If you're out there and you're an Eagles fan, did you quit on them last year? Like, did it come to a point where, all right, they've lost 4 in a row. Oh, my God, they're playing so bad. I can't watch this anymore. Like, is that kind of a microcosm of maybe how you approach fandom?
I think people still watch, but I know we could all say it, going into that Buccaneers game, the confidence level of Eagles Nation, of the fan base, was very low. You did not feel good at all about that Bucs playoff game.
No.
Right?
No,
You still watched it.
I predicted them to lose on these airways.
I think a lot of people going into that last week of the season, how they limped home, and then going into the playoffs, a team below them in the standings as far as record goes, but obviously they got to host because they won that bad NFC South, and you thought, don't feel good about this, not going to go well.
No.
You still watched it, though.
Sure.
Yeah,
You
I think
did.
we all have had that moment in the Eagles season where we were like, yep, that's where the hope died.
There it was. That's where they took over.
Yeah, I mean, by the time you get to the playoffs, there was not a thought in my mind of this is a team that's just going to put it together and go for a run. I remembered on this very program, Andrew was sitting there.
Program.
It's
Program.
It's it's a playoff day. We're getting excited, and I'm like, well, Andrew, come on, I'm not going. And he was like, you will get excited today, and I was like, I will not give you a score. I did what you did, Bob, with the Knicks series. No prediction from me. Two teams will play a game tonight. That is my prediction.
Yeah. That was the highest level of apathy I think you're going to get, was that going into that Bucks game.
But to compare this to the Phillies with where we are at right now, that 10-1 Eagles team, as we could see, wow, this team just finds way to win. This Phillies team's been beating the brakes off of teams.
Yeah.
It's not a 10-1 like, ooh, they found a way to win, but it was shaky. Let's talk about what they're breaking. No, this team's just crushing teams. Like, they are just taking all of these bad teams' lunch money and just moving on to the next one. They're the bully right now. They are the bully. They are the, fifth grader at recess, and everyone else is the second grader. And lunch money is just being collected, and kids are just crying.
Not that we promote that.
No, we're not
would
promoting
never.
it. I'm just saying. It's like, okay, you told people to look at an eclipse, man. Don't even start with me.
Glance. I said,
You
and I
said
didn't tell
look.
them to do it. I said they would do it.
No, you encouraged it. You said,
I
you'll
did
be
not,
fine.
Amy.
You just
I did
glanced.
not.
No, you said,
encourage.
it'll be
I
fine.
said, you're going to glance.
No.
You are going to glance.
You're going to glance.
I didn't.
I glanced.
Everybody else did. You're the only one. Good.
That's not true.
Congratulations
That's
on
not
your
true.
So I have, when it comes to fandom, I've said this a million times, I have no rules.
Right.
Like, I don't care
We
who
talked
roots
about
for
that.
who, and yeah, we did. But
It's good.
But on this one, like, I'm anxious to see what are you like as a fan? Like, how are you as a Philadelphia fan right now? Because I forget where we were, but somebody did label it as such. Like, God, it's so hard being a Philly sports fan. Is it? Is it a chore? Or are we missing out on some things if that's what your outlook is? How do you approach fandom as far as this town goes? Love to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Look at yourself. Wherever you are right now, think of yourself as a fan. And do you like where you are? Do you like how this is all played out? Or is it a chore for you to be a fan? We'd love to hear it. 610-632-0975. So many things going up. There's this Phillies team. I don't know. Is there a caveat with this team? There's a question I want to pose to Amy about this Phillies team in the start right now. And I think I'm going to get a pretty interesting answer from her. Amy's going to be here with us all day long. Ray Dunn producing. I'm Bob Cooney. This is Middays 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Hope you're having a great Tuesday morning, as we are having here. Fun conversations today because it's carrying through in the hallway and all about fandom. You know, like, where are you? And, Ray, we decided to put a poll question out there. Can you read the poll question to our listeners, if you please?
Absolutely, I can. At 97.5 Middays on Twitter is where you can find our poll today, as we ask you the question: with teams coming up short of championship expectations in recent years, do you find your Philadelphia fandom to be a chore? Your options: very simple yes, very simple no.
Those are two good options.
There'd be good replies to that, because I feel like a lot of people see themselves somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe closer to it being a chore, but a chore that they enjoy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, I like cleaning the house.
Oh, well, that's weird.
Really?
Yeah, I do not enjoy it. Ray, do you like cleaning?
We team up on him too much on some of these things, so I'm going to excuse myself from this conversation.
I want you to tell the truth.
You're crazy.
Yeah, I enjoy when it's
Let me ask you a question. If you like cleaning, and you have to go, I'm crazy.
Yeah, I don't like cleaning. No.
I do.
I only clean
put
when
in
I'm
my
stressed.
head, honest to God, I do. It's just cool because we downsized. So, you know, the house isn't huge. So, yeah, I put in my headphones, and I do, like, I'll vacuum the whole house and dust and do the, the
Windows?
appliances and the windows and all that stuff. And then I finish up with the, and vacuum, and then I finish up with the mopping. And it's like an hour and 20 minutes, and I put in
the bathrooms, got the scrub in there.
My wife does the bathrooms.
Well,
I do
probably
everything else.
You
Yeah,
do the-
she probably hates it more than I. But
bathrooms
no,
are-
because, one, I love the end result.
I'm with you on that. I love the way my teeth feel after the dentist. I do not enjoy the dentist.
That's a good point. And then I love putting my headphones in. I put in either an album or a concert or something like that.
Springsteen.
And I just, not all the time. And then I just roll.
All right.
And I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a chore that I like. But I got a text here from my friend John Burke. He says, people overthink their fandom. You hope your teams win. If they don't, be disappointed, but only for a few minutes. Now, that's not, and he says, I follow different colleges because of some ties that he has. You can't be emotionally involved. It'll drive you crazy. Sorry, John, that ship has sailed in this fandom, I think. But, I mean, like Ray, you're younger than Amy and I, and Amy and I have held different positions in the media than you, where our emotions can't come into play all that much, or we try to, curtail them maybe. How long do you hold on to a Sixers loss, game 6 against the Knicks? Like, how long does that stick with you? How long does it, turn your stomach?
I mean, I think it depends on the expectation I had and the emotional investment of like where I thought they were going to go. By the time we got to game 6, that one doesn't haunt me as much as the early series losses. Like, am I over it? Maybe a little bit at this point, but like I can tell you, I went back and my roommate and I were sitting there the other night, and we just flipped on 2022 Phillies postseason highlights to relive some fun times. And then 2023 started to play, and I saw the Bohm home run in Game 7, and that's where the video ended. And I'll be honest with you, I found myself very, very disturbed. And I was like, I probably should go and investigate that emotion that I'm feeling right now, because maybe I'm not over it entirely, what happened. And we continue to talk about the way the Eagles season ended, and I think I'm not over that entirely. So the different losses, I think the way they measure up to your expectations, they'll sting at you for a long time. I don't think that you can just remove emotion from fandom. I think emotion's a lot of what goes into fandom. I think we find, just how invested we are. Like, I like that feeling of, like, tension in a room when it's like the 9th inning, game tied, and you're trying to, feel like you have any control over what's going to happen.
Yes.
And I will say, I come in here with, I wear these wins, losses when I come in here. There's been times that I come in here and I've said to you after Sixers games, after that series, I think either game 1 or 2 where I texted you, I'm very jealous of you. It was game 2. I was very jealous of you because I was like, I'm not going to be able to process that loss for a long time. I still haven't. I'm still upset about that one.
So, okay, Eagles Super Bowl against Kansas City Chiefs. Great game.
Great game.
Right? Great game. The fumble kills you. The holding call kills you. That game gets over, and I can honestly say that I stood up and said, man, that was a fun game to watch. That was a really good game. I'm obviously for my professional life, for a parade, for all the fun that would have happened had they won that game, yes, I felt bad for that. But I could stand up right after the game and say, man, that was a good game. Can you not get there that quickly?
Yeah, that one lingered a little bit longer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I sat
It was like, what just happened?
I sat in silence.
What just happened?
See, Kincade and I were, I think, in agreement on this, where we both kind of were like, man, that, you know why? Because I know, like Ray was just shaking his head no. I think it was because it was unexpected.
Right.
Also.
Almost like the 2022 Phillies.
Yes.
It was a bummer, but.
Yeah, so I could tell you exactly where my expectation changed when you were up 10 at halftime and Patrick Mahomes limped off the field. I'll be honest with you. I was like, I couldn't make any plans for a parade or do anything because of what we do. But I was very much ready to. I was supposed to work overnight here that night. I was, all right, let me gear up. Let me make sure I'm ready to go. Let me, get a little coffee pumping here because we're going to be up all night for this. I had my expectations shift, and I could tell you I sat there. Anyone that was in that room with me, I was sitting behind the bar in my parents' basement, just silent.
You like it there.
I love it. It's my favorite spot in the entire house.
Haven.
Yeah, I spent most of my sister's grad party just sitting behind there. It's great. It's a great place.
That's good.
Yeah.
Congratulations to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, though, that's like microcosm because even when they were up 10-0, he's not ready to celebrate because that's being a Philadelphia sports fan. You're just waiting for it.
Yeah, but the game's not over either, so it's also being smart.
Well, you started to feel a little bit more.
Do you have the button in the back of your head?
I'm going to get upset. You're going to lose me for the entire show.
Right? Because you were sitting there, you're like, oh, my gosh, this could happen. And as soon as you thought that, you thought, no, it's not.
Like an example of that is the Toronto series for the Sixers. I remember my dad and I sitting on the same couch, not speaking to each other for 15 minutes before it's like, all right, I'm going up to bed. Like, we sat there, silence, season over, and neither one of us are getting past it. And I can assure you that if we polled this entire area, I would say there's a higher percentage of people that have not gotten over that game, and it's been 5 years.
There's people that still talk about Mitch Williams' pitch, for Pete's sake.
Right, exactly. So, there's certain things like, some losses I can process, and okay, it's over. Some, I don't think I'll ever get over in my life.
Right there for the taking.
Because it's funny, yesterday sitting here, Bill Colarulo sitting in your chair, Aim, we started talking about something, and he started bringing up stats from the Super Bowl that they lost. And, you could see his temperature rising. And, he started getting taller in his seat, and he was, that Super Bowl still aggravates me. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I think it took me a minute, but I definitely looked at it the next day and was like, that was a great game. The Eagles, I didn't think they were going to be there. This Chiefs team is absolutely a ridiculous juggernaut. They're always going to figure out. There was no joy. I did not feel great when I saw Patrick Mahomes limp off because I thought, if anybody's going to come back, it's that guy. And, of course, he did. But I think your point is valid in the fact that because expectations weren't so high, they didn't come out of the gates and just dominate everybody, and they were the Niners like last year, and you thought, oh my gosh, nothing's going to stop this team. It was like, oh well, that was a fun one. It stunk. You wanted it to go better.
Sure.
But that's why I think 93 Phillies, people still remember the Mitch Williams pitch, but that's a team that had came out of nowhere.
Yeah, really had no business
2022
being there.
Phillies, you back into the wild card. You luck out and you get into the wild card because of the way they've expanded it a number of years ago, and then you go all the way to the World Series. Let's roll with this. This is a good one. So it's when the expectations are higher, I think it takes a longer to come over.
All right, I have a question for you when we get back here at 11. And that question is, there's been a lot of playoffs going on lately where your teams get eliminated early, your favorite teams. Do you have other teams that you like to watch? Can you remember through the years being like, okay, I'm kind of latching on to another team? Because I have some thoughts on this. I know Amy does too. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. 11:02 here at the Fanatic. Want to remind you that the 10 o'clock hour, remember that, Aim, that hour that we had, the 10 o'clock
Great hour. Best hour ever.
Well, it was brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. All right, Aim, so last night I told you what my sports watching was about. There's a show on, what was last night? Monday. Mm-hmm. So my wife and daughter are all into this show on Monday nights. So they command the, air quote, TV room on Mondays.
Okay.
Like they got to watch this show. I forget. All American, I think it's called. Something. I don't know. All American. And last night was supposed to be a big show because, whatever. There was something going on. So I went into my room and started, just folding my wash and putting things away. Boom, I turn on the Indiana Fever WNBA game. So I watched that. That takes me up until like 9 o'clock, and then comes on the hockey game, Edmonton at Vancouver. Vancouver coached by our friend Rick Tocchet. I could watch, and I said this to you this morning, I could watch this Edmonton Oilers team play like every day of the week. Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, and like it is just
good hockey.
And I'll tell you, it's amazing. It looks to be like at a different level. And I'm not putting down the Flyers at all. And maybe playoff hockey does get carried up to that next notch that we talk about. But they are moving at speeds the likes of which we haven't seen here in a long, long time.
And they seem to know where it's like an orchestration. Everybody is supposed to be where they are, and the expectation of when I make this pass, you're going to be there to receive it, and the speed at which. Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's the Oilers and it's playoff Game 7. Everything's kind of ramped up.
Yeah.
It's just a great team.
And so much fun to watch. And what a game it was last night. I watched the first two periods. I think I got into the third, but I didn't see Vancouver scored twice in the third for a 3-2 game. Edmonton wins Game 7 on the road. I don't think I saw Vancouver score. So I get done that. I go to bed, and I'm like, man, I really do like watching that Edmonton team play. I love watching playoff hockey. I hate that we haven't had it here in so long. There's a lot of playoff series, whether it's basketball, in some cases, I should say going back past the last couple of years, where there's been playoff baseball that the Phillies haven't been involved in. And, of course, football, sometimes the Eagles don't advance either. Do you find yourself, like, being a fan of non-Philly teams when it comes to this time of the year? Not a fan, but teams maybe non-home teams that you really like to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it dips, and we're theming on fandom today, which I love because I don't think there should be rules to fandom, and I love the way how people have their own fandom, whether it ruins their lives or it is what they live for. All of that. And if you have thoughts on it, 610-632-0975. Love to hear what kind of fan you are. But I find myself in playoff hockey especially looking for that team throughout the year. And look, again, nothing against the Flyers. We just know where they are. They weren't making playoffs, and we had no expectations of that in years past. I find myself picking out a team that I'm like, I want to watch them. Now, a couple years ago, it was the Rangers. And Pat Egan and I would talk about it, and his mom is a big Rangers fan. And I'd be like, dude, I think they're winning the Cup this year. I really like them. They farted out. Did I just say that?
You
that
did.
Wasn't right. This year, it's Edmonton. And it was last year was Edmonton also. I really like watching them play. Who are some of your teams maybe through the years that you really kind of attached yourself to a little bit?
Yeah.
Because you wanted the fun of watching a team play a sport.
Well, and this kind of goes back to your first point of the reason we're watching some of these teams is because our teams are not there.
Yeah.
So that kind of lends it to. So sometimes I just look and I appreciate a team because of how they play, the style they play, or maybe I really like a couple of their players and I just want to watch them because they're must-see TV.
Yeah.
That's probably truer for me in basketball than it is maybe a little bit of baseball too. But in basketball, I think it lends itself to more an individualized effort at times. So if you really like Anthony Edwards, you might tend to yourself to watch. Like people are watching the Fever because they want to see what Caitlin Clark is doing. But I've had a lot of teams, and sometimes I latch on to a team or a team that I'm like, all right, I want to watch them because I would like for my team to look like that. I would like to my team to like, all right, here's how they did it.
Copycat.
Yeah, let's try to take some of that. But it was funny. I was talking to my oldest son, 9 years old, about teams and the whole overall team and how important a team is, and some really good teams for the years that didn't win it all. And roundabout way, we got on, because I saw Tommy Green yesterday, I got on the 93 Phillies Braves series in LCS. And of course, I just say Tommy Green, he said hello. And first thing Shawnee says is like, he threw a no-hitter. I'm like, yeah, and he also beat Greg Maddux in the postseason. He's like, well, he didn't beat him. I was like, no, he did. He pitched a better game than Greg Maddux. And that's something that if I'm Tommy Green, I would wear a shirt that says it every day. I pitched better than Greg Maddux in one game. But to me, that Braves team, and I know it's the Braves, that 93, and really you could go to 94 and 95, but that like little early to mid Braves squad was an insane team. That was a team that was fun to watch. Terry Pendleton, Jeff Blauser, Mark Lemke, Ron Gant.
Now, we didn't mention Pendleton.
Right?
That's
Think about those
300
guys.
Hitter all the time.
They had guys that were professional hitters, some guys that could hit for power, and their pitching staff has 3 Hall of Famers on it. You're looking at Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddux. It was a fun team.
Mm-hmm.
And the Phillies beat them, rightfully so, and they had a magical run in 93, which was also fun. And I think a lot of people around the country probably picked up on the Phillies being a fun team to watch that year for them. I think a lot of people picked up on the Phillies being a fun team to watch in 2022. Everybody likes the little underdog.
Sure.
But for me, as far as a team that plays how I would want my team to play, when I think about it, I was just going back. I was like, gosh, those were a lot of fun teams to watch. I remember being a kid because you could watch, you would stay up late. Your parents would watch it on TNT or TBS or whatever would be on. And this is a really good baseball team. That was a team over the years that just came to mind because I just happened to be talking about it last night. And obviously, Phillies won, so it makes it great. But that was a ridiculous team.
Yeah, that was.
Dave Justice.
Yeah, I was
Fred McGriff.
Yeah, Lemke, as you said, second baseman I was at that Game 6 that they won, that the Phillies won at home to go to the World Series.
Sid Bream.
I won, yeah.
Deion Sanders.
Was Deion on that 93 team?
He was on the bench.
Really?
Yeah, he would
that
come
I
in
did
and
not
bench run.
remember.
He would steal home. I'm telling you, that was
Javi Lopez the catcher?
I believe so. Was he?
Oh.
I don't know. I could look that. I just remember, and maybe it's
weird that we remember.
when you.
I can't remember something that happened yesterday, as Ray will tell you over and over and over again. But like, how the hell are we naming a 1993?
For me, it's like one of my first real stay up. I'm watching an entire sporting event type of thing. I was a little kid. I'm down there. There was the TV room because you had just the one TV. Your parents may have had one in their room, but there was the one TV that was just in your house, and you had to get up and turn the channels because the set box was on top. It's very visceral for me to remember those Braves teams.
How about that?
Oh, because of that.
That's pretty good. Ray, how about you? Did you ever kind of latch on to a team, a non-home team, a non-Philly team? Because I'll give you my example of mine, and listeners know this for the last couple of years. It was the Iowa women's basketball team, and it was more than just the Caitlin Clark of it. I love the way they play basketball. They had a specific style in mind that I think the Indiana Pacers have kind of copycatted a little bit. I just love the way they played basketball. Do you have one, Ray?
I always go more player-driven than I do more team-driven. Like I mentioned yesterday, and Amy just said this, Anthony Edwards.
Oh.
Earlier this season, I was saying that there was some walk into the arena that they were talking with him, and I was like, this guy just seems awesome. This seems
awesome.
like the type of guy, if he was in Philadelphia, I would attach myself to his personality, and I would be all about his success. So seeing them have the success that they have, I've kind of picked up with them, and I think it happens in seasons where it's an early exit for my teams, where the first round exit allows me to, oh wow, I got 8 teams to choose from here, and I can really start to pick where I want to go with this. So I think the Timberwolves this year have become that team for me because I love Anthony Edwards and just what he's becoming. But I'm starting to work my way back through time. There's also times where I become kind of a heel to my friends, and whether it be what they might be wagering on or what they are just sort of become fans of. Like I remember one of my friends was against the Seahawks when they were like that early 2010s team. He was not a fan. Russell Wilson, not a fan of all them. And I was like, yeah, I love Marshawn Lynch. I'll just become a Seahawks guy when they're making these runs. So we would go back and forth over that type of stuff. So more like the fun of just, watching a game with people and enjoying that. But I think it's players. Like Marshawn Lynch, I loved. So those Seahawks teams, when they were making those runs, I was cool with it. Also, Chip Kelly was in the midst of, pretty much destroying everything that I enjoyed about football here. So it was fine. I needed something to enjoy with a bird in a football team. So I think as I pick out players and also depending on what's happened with my teams, I don't really stray away from from the Phillies, like a former Phillies, will do it for me.
Yeah.
Also, Philadelphia area people, like the Mavericks the other night. I kept going. Derek Jones Jr., 22 points.
Right.
That was what sticks out in my mind, where it's like, all right, if there's a way to make it about Philadelphia, there's a good chance I will do that, and that's how I'll drive my fandom. It's either fun player, bothering my friend, or Philadelphia based.
See, that's great because again, a different way of looking at it. I like scheme more than player. Maybe a player makes that scheme, and that's why. But to me, that's coaching. You find a player, how they play, and then you scheme up to get the most out of that player. I'm more of a scheme. Although there are individuals, too. Like I said, over the last few years, anytime Aaron Rodgers was on TV, I wanted to watch him throw a football. Like, I just thought it was amazing, some of the stuff. Patrick Mahomes is obviously another one. But for some reason, I don't know why. Maybe it's because, they've beaten the Eagles that he doesn't. I'm not going to say he doesn't do it for me because he is a great, great quarterback. And he is
You look at him differently
TV.
now, though. It was like maybe
I
when.
probably do.
Do you feel that way? Because I like watching the Bills.
Yeah. Yeah, I like.
But there's we haven't encountered them yet.
It's rooting for the downfall,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, maybe that's.
We're sick of it. Give me a new story, okay?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes dominating the league. I was all for them on the rise. Now that they've gotten to that point, it's like, all right, let's bring a new order here. Someone else in charge of this. Joe Burrow or something. Give me something different.
Until he starts doing it.
Right, and then when they start dominating, it's like move on. Like I'll be honest, rooting interest, Tom Brady by the end of his career.
No.
Let's have this guy fail.
Yeah.
Let's have this guy fail big time.
I
never had a time of rooting for him. No.
Well, I never I root against him heavily.
Right.
Heavily.
Consistently.
Yeah.
A lot.
Always.
Always.
To this day, I want him. The roast was great.
Yes.
Bring it on.
Now,
But
Bob's excited for him on TV, though.
No. Ooh. No.
I think he's going to be really good.
I don't.
Like,
But the Heat are a team.
why don't you?
Maybe it's his face doesn't
Personality.
move anymore. Personality, I think he's dull.
But we're not going to see his face all that much. He's just
that's
going to be
good.
calling
Be
plays.
the first thing in the game. They open up. They give you the
Well,
wide shot.
yeah.
They go into the
We
booth.
all know what he looks
Yeah,
like.
we got past Romo.
I'll tell you what.
I don't know. I can't
I'll-
get past it.
If you guys can be honest with yourselves, we'll see how it plays out. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be really good at analyzing plays.
The thing that I worry about with him, and obviously I do not know Tom Brady in any way, shape, or form, arrogance is not a good look
No.
in that arena.
No.
It is when you are the quarterback of the Patriots and you've got multiple Super Bowl wins. I wonder if he can humble himself enough to realize I'm not going to be great at this right from the beginning. I want to try to get it right, but I want to do a good. And I'm sure
he
can,
won't be that.
right, and I'm sure he will. This man, goes from the 7th round or the 6th round to this. He's obviously learned how to, but he's already here now.
Yeah.
So starting over again, that's a tough.
He's going to
sled.
He's a perfectionist. He's going to want to be
So he
great
needs
right
to be able
away.
to go ahead and be like, all right, I don't know. I'm
I
not
think
going to get
he's-
everything right.
I
in
think
on
he's
him.
going to be really good.
I'm in on him if he destroys one Microsoft tablet per broadcast. On
Okay.
a bad
All right.
play for one of the teams, he just gets upset the way he used to get upset on the sidelines and just starts destroying that thing. Like, how could they possibly mess this play up? That's what I'm in on.
All right, that's different. Terrell in Philly, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Terrell, what's going on?
How's everybody doing today?
Doing
Good,
great.
Terrell.
How about you, buddy?
So, the topic right now, you're talking about the non-Eagles, the team that I latched on to. I'm actually ashamed of this because my love for this team is actually as big as player. I say is actually as big as Amy's for LeBron James.
That's a lot.
Peyton Manning, like the way he used to play football, the way he used to
Love
have
it.
his guys. Like I kind of want Jalen Hurts to play like that. That's how bad it is. But this is one game in particular that he's playing the Ravens, and it seemed like everything that he was doing, it seemed like Ray Lewis used to had a counter for it, or Ed Reed had a counter for it. That was one of the best games I've ever seen. Was seeing him play the Colts and the Ravens back in the day, and even listening to him and his brother on the Manning cast, how he said he would bunch up the Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown with another receiver, and have A.J. Brown come across the middle and Devontae Smith on a straight route. Like the way he talks, I don't know. I just something about Peyton Manning.
Terrell, I have said that if I was CEO of any company in this country, I would somehow try to get Peyton Manning on board.
Winner.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah, I just think he's that kind of guy. Thanks, Terrell. Really appreciate it. I think he's that kind of guy that can do anything and do anything really, really well.
I think he has an ability to humble himself, and I always like when and Terrell mentioned it. It was always Peyton Manning against Peyton Manning against Bill Belichick. How's that going to go out?
Right.
Peyton Manning against Ray Lewis. He was always who you thought of because of how he operated. And I don't think he ever carried himself with too much arrogance. He was confident, cocky, and you can be that way. But I don't think he carries that over. That was Tom Brady and he apparently are friendly. That would be very strange to me. They seem like two different dudes. One seems like
opposites attract.
Like an Appletini guy. Another guy seems like a beer guy.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
he's throwing Coors Lights in the bar on the commercials. Is Peyton Manning all the time?
Yeah, he seems like
He's a dude.
He's a
Yeah.
dude.
But when I
Not a
became
bro.
really, obviously I loved watching him play football. But when I really became a fan of his was when he hosted that Saturday Night Live.
When he did
And
the
he's
playground as a coach and
oh my
like put
God.
the kids in the
and he's throwing the ball off their
swatting
heads.
it,
And,
put the kid in the porta potty because they were in timeout.
That's still, I could watch that clip like
Their
every day.
Manning cast is very good because it really in Aaron Rodgers' point, there was one they had Aaron Rodgers on, and it was Aaron, Peyton, and Eli, and it was must-see TV. They just broke down it was like being in a quarterback room, an amazing quarterback room.
You like the Manning cast?
I do.
So do I.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of
Non-Eagles
it.
games.
Well, yeah, I would never watch it for an Eagles game.
Right.
I would probably enjoy it, and maybe I should like go back and watch
I would go
those.
back. Yeah, I
but no,
couldn't watch
couldn't.
it during.
But it was just interesting because these are guys that are obviously have won at the highest level and are exceptional quarterbacks.
There's nothing.
And they're
they
just
haven't
talking
seen.
X's and O's, and it was great.
It's pretty cool. Euro John is on the cell. Euro John, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Bob? In terms of the playoffs, I like all the Euros, but I specifically like Jokic because he 2 games he had 15 shots, 13 were in the paint, and then 14 were in the paint. Now, the team that general manager put around him, he's playing 47 minutes, and nobody can get their own shot except for Jamal Murray, and they put Edwards on him, and he shut Murray down, KCP, Gordon, and Porter. If I was Denver, I'd break that up. Porter makes a big contract. I don't know, maybe because of his family situation, what's going on. Maybe that threw him off, but he played well against the Lakers. I do what Dallas has. Dallas has 7, 8 guys that can play. And Legler, I agree with Legler. Now, everybody's hyping up Edwards, but Luka compared to Edwards, it's not even close. I mean, if Luka is not injured in the series, he looked good in the last game. I mean, he's too big for Edwards and McDaniels, and he's too quick for Gobert and Cat. So he's going to get a lot of open threes. I got Mavericks in 6. I just like the post play. I like watching Jokic with those hook shots that I told you about. It doesn't have to be a Kareem hook shot. And if Embiid would just do what Jokic does in the playoffs, I know Jokic doesn't have a lot of players around. He has four playable guys. But if he would have gotten the paint, he would have been in 2 finals by now. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
You don't think if he does that back down 2 dribble, 3 dribble, where he was abused?
He scores 35 points a game, John. Do I care how he scores them?
No, but he's 20 for 22, 11 for 29. I mean, basically, he could score a lot. Isaiah Thomas back in the day used to go for 11 for 29, but at the end of his career, he wasn't the same player because he wasn't shooting a high percentage. But for Denver to win, Jokic has to shoot over 50%. He didn't shoot over 50%. He has to be a miracle man for that team to win.
All right, thanks, John. I appreciate it. I'm sorry. I can't sit here and talk European basketball all day long when that wasn't even part of the subject of what we were talking about, so I apologize.
Little Isaiah Thomas in there.
So
I mean, I don't know where. Ray and I are looking at each other like,
I was trying to
exactly
follow
what does
along.
this have to do with anything that we're talking
It
about?
started out like he liked watching center play, but it was really more of like, this is what I want Joel Embiid to do.
Look, it all
I
comes
like
back to
watching
he wants
the European
Embiid.
players to win. That's exactly
and then
what
I,
it is.
and then I
I can't do
heard
it.
the Mavs in 6, and I thought, what?
Yeah.
Well-
Sorry, John. Like, look, I love having conversations with you, but at least try to listen to the show and maybe follow along what we're talking about here and maybe include it in there. But
All I heard was Luka over Ant.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering,
No.
Euro John wants Luka over Ant. Why is that?
Yeah, Euro John does.
Yeah.
yeah,
Emphasis on that. Over Anthony Edwards.
dude, Hazonia was going to average 20 a game.
Yeah.
That's where we go. Euro John, I just
We love
you, buddy. But context. Let's not forget a little context here. Okay, when we get back, let's look a little more into it. We got some phone calls that want to talk about. I'm sure we're going to get some text. Is there a team that you kind of latched onto when your home team wasn't getting it done? I do it every year. I look for a hockey team that I like during the regular season, and then they become my team in the playoffs. That it's kind of like I have to watch TV. I'm an idiot. I set up 9:15 last night. That Edmonton-Vancouver game started, and I sat there and watched 2+ periods of it because I just love watching Edmonton play. It's a sickness, I know, but that's what we're all about. Amy Fadul, she's here until 2 o'clock today. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. 11:30 here at the Fanatic. Thanks for coming back or just joining us as we get you through this Tuesday, marching ever so slowly towards the holiday weekend. It's one of my favorite holiday weekends. I love the summer. I know sports-wise it isn't the greatest because all you really have is baseball. Once basketball and hockey get over, that's kind of it, but that's all right. I love the summertime. And then when fall comes about, I love the fall just as much. But I don't want to wish the summer through looking towards the Eagles.
Right. Or
You
Red
know
October.
what I mean? Yeah, or Red October, exactly. Phillies are going to be so much fun to watch this summer. Can't wait for it. They start a huge series tonight against the Texas Rangers. I was wondering if we put a little too much into it, or are we putting more into it because they are defending champions, because the Phillies haven't played many good teams this year, and you have one coming in. We'll see. But we're also talking about sometimes your teams don't go as far as you'd like when it comes playoff times. When that happens, do you join on to another team? Do you get a rooting interest maybe for another team like I do this year with the Edmonton Oilers? Wes in West Oak Lane, he's got a thought on this. Wes, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning.
How you
Morning,
doing?
Wes.
What's going on? So I was only 11 years old at the time, so please forgive me because the Eagles weren't bad, but I got to go with the greatest show on turf, man. Kurt Warner,
good
Marshall
one.
Faulk, Torrey Holt. That was a fun team to watch.
And there's nothing wrong with that,
It was a
right,
fun
Wes?
team to watch.
Like, there's nothing wrong with finding a team, if it's not your own and it has nothing to do with the outcome of your team, that you say, man, these guys, this guy, this scheme, they're fun to watch, and I'm going to watch them.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, that might have been the year Eagles we won against the Bucks, but then we lost to the Giants in the first round. Is that what happened?
I know they lost to the greatest show on turf in the NFC Championship, right?
Yeah, possibly, yeah. And the last one before I get cut off, I think Ray mentioned players over a team, and I remember vividly in college, me and my buddies huddling around TV, Jimmer Fredette at BYU, 2010.
That's a
good
great
one.
Same times.
Wes, that is a great
good
one. Thanks so
Jimmer,
much for the call.
He was like must-see TV. People didn't even know where BYU was, but
No.
they knew that Jimmer played for them.
So I just saw a thing on, I'm sure you saw this too, the thing on Twitter of him going back to BYU.
No, I haven't seen that.
Now, Ray, did you see this?
I did not.
So he went back to BYU, and I can't remember if they made him look way older or if they made him look way younger. I think I'm going to go with the younger, and they said he was like a freshman coming into the program, and he looked like, whatever. And the assistant coaches weren't in on it, and they're looking at it. Similar to when Peyton Manning went to, was it Penn State, and acted like he was going to try to be a walk-on quarterback, and they were like, damn! But anyway, so Jimmer Fredette goes back to BYU, and everybody's looking at it like, yeah, nothing. And he starts, like, banging threes. And then he starts, like, owning the gym when they're doing drills. And then they go to play, and he's, like, phenomenal. And they get done, and the guys are, like, around looking at him like, what the hell? And he takes off I guess it was a mustache or, a wig and all that stuff. And they're like, oh, damn, it's Jimmer Fredette. So he's still playing. But Jimmer Fredette was Caitlin Clark took over basketball talk, but he was.
It was like the college
that.
version of Lynn Sanity.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like a magic in a bottle right there, and you wanted to watch what he was doing. And I think March Madness can lend itself to that as far as. But Jimmer really was the whole season. You were just excited to watch him. I can't remember the last college player that, and I think that Wes had a good point. When you have a name of a team like the greatest show on turf, generally everybody's kind of all in
Somebody's
on that,
gonna
right?
yeah.
They're interested. That's a fun team to watch.
You just got me thinking. Now I'm going down the rabbit hole here of players that I had to watch in college. Kevin Durant was one of those. Like
it's like
because I remember turning it on and being like, wait,
he was like a freak. He was just so unusual.
This skinny guy, I shouldn't say little. This skinny guy really is. And then he started posting points, and it was really cool. Steph Curry was talked about, but not.
It wasn't until
like
the tournament.
that.
It was like people like, oh, look at this.
Because what they get to? Sweet 16?
I think so. That sounds right.
Okay.
There's definitely times I think March Madness lends itself to, here's a fun run for a team. Dunk City. Remember that, like little things
That's
like that.
exactly where my mind
Right?
went when
Like,
we
that was
started
a
having this
fun one.
conversation.
Who didn't like Florida Gulf Coast? That was a fun one.
And March Madness does lend itself to
It
that.
does.
And especially those double-digit seeds. If you see a double-digit seed start moving, unless they beat your champion, you are all about them.
You're all about them.
And
You
then they
wanna
win a
see
couple
that.
games, and you're like, all right, fine, I'm all in on them anyways. But those types of teams captivate me. Zion's year at Duke also is
A
one of
player
those.
that watched.
That's pretty
Was
good.
That's a
one I
good one.
watched.
Yeah, I
Not
was
that I'm
trying to
big
think.
on Duke, but I was like, Zion, what is this guy? He's a freak
who
of
was
nature.
like must-see TV. In college, I feel like there hasn't been as many.
Probably not. Like, you got to go back a little bit, too, right? You go to the Fab Five was something that you had, like, they had
Yeah,
the
you
name.
had to watch that.
They had the shorts, all of that stuff,
team.
and they were good.
They were very good.
So that was one of them. I was thinking of the UNLV teams back then in the 90s that
With
scored.
Tarkanian.
Where they were just scoring through the wazoo. It was like 100 points every
Yeah.
game. Go back even further, the Loyola Marymount teams. Remember them that just up and down the floor? Was that before your time?
Before my time of like watching it, absorbing.
So Hank
I was
Gathers
alive.
and all that, they were going up and down the floor and scoring 130, 140
Yeah,
points a game.
Those are crazy.
which was really cool. But yeah, sometimes there's just teams that you like, that you latch
just enjoy-
on to.
you just enjoy it.
Yeah, I always liked it when there was a West Coast team when I was growing up. When there was a West Coast college team that was really good, and on like a Thursday night, you get in from going out and you could watch, I don't know, a Gonzaga game or
I think
something
that's why a lot
like
of people
that.
also saw Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah, probably.
San Diego State.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
That's
go.
become my team out there. in
San
the Mountain
Diego
West.
State.
Yeah, I've enjoyed
SDSU.
watching them a
Oh,
lot
okay.
over the last couple of years.
Those are fun. There are teams like that. There are players like that. I think you can take a lot of joy in them. You kind of root for them. Oh wait, I know somebody on this team. I've watched this team.
Yeah. The Bo Kimball and Hank Gathers team of Loyola Marymount team was a team that just wanted to score as many points as they could and did whatever they could to do that. And it was so much fun to watch. And, of course, Hank Gathers, the tragic death of him on the court. But it was just a type of basketball that no one had ever seen before.
Which is crazy.
And it was crazy, and it was fun. And then you get the Hank Gathers death, and they go into the NCAA tournament and continue to play like
Which
that.
I think is amazing.
And Bo Kimball shooting a left-handed free
that I've
throw
seen,
because in honor, like I
Yeah.
got the hair on my arms is standing up because I was working at the Daily News the night that Hank Gathers went down. I was down working city side, not up in the sports department, which was a floor above us. And I swear I'll never forget it, sitting there and my phone ringing, and it being Pat McClune, my old boss, and saying, "Get up here, you're working sports tonight." And went up, and it was
going on.
because of what happened with Hank.
But he was a
Gathers.
player
But-
that everybody, in the country, I think, was probably watching because of how he scored.
Yeah, because of how he
Yeah.
scored and that team. It was just something you never, ever saw before, and it was so cool.
I feel like that baseball has some of that. People when baseball was trying to come back after the '94 strike, and I think that whether you liked it or not, the whole Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire thing, people were just locked in. You even weren't interested in baseball.
It might have saved baseball.
I think it did a lot. And
Yeah.
I think that
I
that's
think
not,
it's why baseball turned its
100%
collective eye and said, "Oh, we don't know what's going on. What are you talking
they look
about?"
Fine, that seems normal.
All right, Uncle Frank. He's joining us today. Uncle Frank, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, guys. Happy, tremendous Tuesday. It's beautiful.
It is.
Guys, I love this topic. So let me ask you guys, so Bobby, Amy, going back, who was your favorite tournament team other than a local team?
All right, so I'm an underdog guy. So I loved when Princeton would get in a tournament and just baffle these teams that were so much. And you had Petey Carrill, just the orchestrator.
Backdoor
I mean, I loved watching those Princeton team play.
Backdoor.
Yeah,
Exactly.
backdoor.
I would watch it for a couple minutes, fall asleep, and watch it again. And no, I'm kidding. But that was, How about you, Amy?
One of the ones that I first think about is George Mason. I loved their run to the Final Four.
Yeah.
And then that was Jim Larinaga, and you've
Yep.
seen what he's been able to do. I think that was a really fun run. That was like one of the first
That's right.
ones that I remember. Now you've seen it. VCU's done it. A couple teams have been those double-digit seeds to make it, but that was the first one that I remember that really went on
Remember
an
the
amazing
year?
run.
What year?
That was like 2005, maybe 2006. Mason Nation
Lord,
took
hey,
over. Everybody's talking
Who
about
was yours, Frank?
40 Minutes of Hell. The Arkansas,
Arkansas.
Razorbacks.
That's a really good one.
They pressed, and it was just Scotty Thurman. I'm trying to think.
Corliss Williamson.
Yep.
I had a tough time.
I love
with that one.
Frank, thanks so much,
That was a
buddy.
good
That
call.
is a really good one. Good job, Frank.
Nicely
we have
done.
to get him to cut down on the interviews a little bit.
Yeah, when he wants to have
He
like
doesn't. Don't ask us questions. We want to hear what you have to say.
I appreciate it.
'Cause, Frank's the best. And we're
Good
getting
call.
him there, aren't we, Ray?
I thought that was a solid job by him.
Yeah, very good.
If we have improved anything from this show, how many shows have we done about? Like 50-ish? Something
You
like
lose
that?
track. Time
Yeah.
flies when you're having fun.
Correct them and dope.
I don't like the way you said that. You said it like sarcastically.
You just can't take compliments.
Yeah, I think you just can't take compliments. Good help, Amy. Thank you for
Sure,
the
I
assist
can.
there.
Uncle Frank, awesome, though.
Good stuff.
Arkansas, that was a good one. We have a couple things on the board. When we get back, we'll give you a poll update on, I had the question earlier on how you view yourself as a fan. It's something we're going to get back to a little bit because I'm obsessed with it, Aim. I talk about obsession a lot. I am obsessed with how people watch games, feel about games, what their fandom is like. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome back, middays, 97.5, The Fanatic. As we approach the 12 o'clock hour, at 12 o'clock, we will be joined by NBC Sports Philadelphia's Taran Hatcher. I'm really anxious to talk to her. It's funny, Amy and I were texting back and forth last night talking about this. I really want to talk to Taran about, I think this Phillies team has this something special. And one of our, Chris McClune on our YouTube page yesterday said, the Phillies just have something special. And it led me to ask, what is it? What is it to you that is the something special on this Phillies team? It was a topic we had yesterday, so I'm anxious to talk to Taran about it because she does a lot of behind-the-scenes things. Yeah. And, we can all see what happens on the field, but behind the scenes.
Yeah, she's talking to the hitting coaches.
Exactly. So excited to talk about that to Taran. But I'll ask you, Aim. So, like I said, our buddy Chris McClune yesterday says the Phillies just have that something special. To you, what is that something special?
It's a je ne sais quoi.
Oh, geez. She does add some class to this show, doesn't she?
And confuses me.
Je ne sais quoi. It's like an undetermined, it's that little something. It's French, obviously. It translates into like just that little, that special something. You don't know what it is.
Is it? But no, I want you to tell me what it could be.
You can't. You don't know what it is. It's just there.
But that's no good for sports talk radio, Aim. I can't have people say, I don't want to je ne sais quoi. I want people to say, no, it's because he's hitting or he's pitching. Or
I took Spanish. I took Latin. No, I mean, honestly, if you had to put a word on it, I would say it's their belief. Or confidence, one of the two. But I think it's their confidence. They believe in themselves. They're confident in themselves. I think that's why they always think that they can go out and win.
Okay.
Honestly, I think that is a carryover from last year.
There's a chip on the shoulder, it appears.
We got it. Listen, we messed around last year. They took advantage. We didn't take them seriously. Our bats, whatever it was, we're not doing that again.
Okay.
They're all business.
Okay. She went from je ne sais quoi
to
business.
Wide range here.
I'm telling you, my head is spinning right now. All right, earlier
Still trying to figure out what the French words mean.
Poor Ray. You said it and his head popped up like, don't come to me on this.
I'm just going to keep my mic down over here.
So we brought up earlier, one of my subjects was, and we'll get back to it a little bit later also, how do you look at yourself as a fan? What's it like being a Philadelphia fan? It was such an intriguing question that it caused Ray to put up a poll. Ray, can you give us an update on that poll?
I absolutely can give you an update on this poll. That's at 97.5 middays on Twitter. With teams coming up short of championship expectations in recent years, do you find your Philadelphia fandom to be a chore? So far, 62% of the vote
Don't say. Aim.
The civil authorities have issued a required monthly test for all of New Jersey beginning at 10:50 a.m. and ending at 12:50 p.m. The New Jersey Office of Emergency Management is conducting a test of the emergency alert system. Had this been an actual emergency, the attention signal you have just heard would have been followed by official information or instructions. This concludes the test of the emergency alert system.
Start naturally breathing again. I was like, oh my God, she hates me. She doesn't even care. But I think she was right about that. All right, Eugene on our YouTube page. Holy crap, this dude is like 70 and never heard that before.
What? Je ne sais quoi?
First of all, Ray is only 24 years old. Unless he's talking about me. I've certainly heard je ne sais quoi before. I don't know. I don't know where that was coming from. But
maybe it was something else.
That's pretty interesting that 62%. Nah, it's not a chore.
It's not. It's a.
All right. Logically, it's not. You're exactly right, Aim. Exactly
but
right.
People
Logically,
view it
it's
that
not.
way.
We do it for escape, all that. Should I have asked this question the day after, I don't know, the Eagles lose a playoff game, the Phillies lose, a National League Championship Series?
We'll bookmark it.
But, yeah, we might have to because I'm glad that everybody said that.
We should just follow up here. I believe we just had an emergency alert system test. So We might have missed some people. They might not have heard exactly what they're saying, given the fact that the YouTube's saying I sound like beep, 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 and beep. And as soon as I turn off my mic, I heard the emergency alert system thing going. So, hey, we're back.
Welcome. Thank you for letting us test.
If you missed the poll question, with teams coming up short of championship expectations in recent years, do you find your Philadelphia fandom to be a chore? 62% of people, again, saying no, they don't find it.
Good.
And if you missed Eric's tweet, too, fandom should never be a chore. Heartbreaking, yes. Frustrating, yes. But being a fan is like breathing. You can't help it.
All right. That's what I like to hear.
Just recapping it for those who might have missed it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Our YouTube family. We had some great YouTube stuff earlier. Somebody said, because of our subject yesterday, and Amy, I'm going to hit you with this after we talk to Taran Hatcher today, and we're going to talk to her at 12 o'clock. But one of my themes yesterday was the movie If is coming out. Okay. Have you seen the... Oh, you haven't?
Is that
There's
the purple thing?
Yeah, I think the purple thing is in that. It's who was the guy that put it together, right?
John Krasinski.
Exactly. So there's this movie out, If, coming out, and he kind of made it through his daughter's eyes, who were younger kids, and he said, I would see them go into, like, different worlds as little kids, and he said it was so enjoying to watch. And he wanted to make this movie like, if, this could happen, would the world be different, all of that stuff. I posed the question out there yesterday, what is your biggest if in Philly sports? And we had a myriad of answers, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to ask you that question, get it in your head for later. But somebody on our YouTube page said because of our conversation yesterday, they went out to see the movie If last night. How do you like that? So
you're welcome, John Krasinski?
Yes, exactly.
I'd say we get a kickback.
I'll call him.
Probably should. Oh,
that's good.
No, I don't.
She's got him in the Rolodex.
Yes, come on, we know
Jim
it.
from The Office? Love Jim from The Office.
My buddy was out with him.
Jim from The Office? He's a big Boston guy, FYI.
He was up. My buddy,
Big
the one
Boston.
whose daughter I showed you hit the shot, they had a tournament in Scranton, and he was making an appearance there, and he was out at the bar with them.
They do a lot of stuff up there. They go back quite a bit, which I think is great.
Which is because it's such a great town, Scranton.
Yes.
The Electric City.
Yes, it is. So.
Yes, it is.
All right, Voodoo, knock it off. We know the if. He's go, if my aunt. Okay, we all know that one, Voodoo. Stop it. That's funny. It was funny the first 1,000 times. We've all said it. All right, when we get back, Taran Hatcher is going to join us. Very anxious to talk to her about behind-the-scenes look of this wonderful Philadelphia Phillies team. Amy Fadul's with us all day long. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back, 12 o'clock, 97.5 The Fanatic. Glad to have you with us. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful Tuesday outside. Get out if you can once you're done the work day. I don't know, I'm a fan of going out like around dinner time, and doing my yard work. Like last night, I put out the trash. So, yeah, I do my trash. I do my next-door neighbor's trash because she's an older lady, whatever. So I do all that. And then, I don't know. I just I putter around and do stuff for like an hour or so outside just because I like to.
That dusk time, another chore thing that you enjoy?
Yeah, it is. I like that you put je ne sais quoi out there on our Twitter.
Well, I was coming back in, and so the guys, like Josh was like, I had no idea what that was.
Really?
Yeah.
You've never heard that phrase before?
Not ever a day in my life.
That's amazing to
I
me.
took Spanish. I don't know.
I took that. It's
I'm
not
not
a
cultured.
normal, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm not
it's-
blaming. Look, I'm not
No,
blaming you. I
you
just
can
think
blame
it's
me. You can rip me on this one.
I
just
say a
had
lot
no
of
idea.
old lady things, but I didn't think it was an old lady thing.
No, I don't think it is an old lady thing at all. That's not a real good lead-in to
No.
Taran Hatcher, of
No,
course, but
the
we're not
opposite.
going to get. We're going to get young lady things here.
She has a certain je ne sais
That's
quoi.
right. As she joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Taran, how you doing today? How about if I try this again?
Yeah.
Taran, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great. Thanks so much for joining us. Great stuff that you do on NBC Sports Philly, and I love all the behind-the-things things that you do. But it leads me to my first question. We see what this Phillies team is talent-wise and all that. What is it about the behind-the-scenes stuff, Taran, that you think might make this team a little special?
I think, frankly, and I was talking to Kevin Long, the Phillies hitting coach, about this the other day. So we know they have, like, a ton of talent to the point where they've got guys at the bottom of the order, the Christian Paches of the world, who come in and produce even though they're not everyday guys. And they don't complain despite the fact that they're not everyday guys. And they're producing. And I was asking Kevin about, just them being productive all over the place and being able to bounce back late in games and never being out of it and so on and so forth. And I said, like, what do you think it is that you have a clubhouse that is literally, it is packed with talented guys, and they seem to work for each other and not at each other? And he said, that's the thing. Like, you really know you've put together a good team when they root for each other, even if it means one of them isn't in the lineup that day. And he said that's like a huge difference between a team that can be successful and a team that has a lot of talent, but, infighting, and when they're out of it in games, they kind of turn on each other. It's a underrated part of this team, I think.
Yeah, and that's such a good point because they also feed off of one another. And Aaron Nola said it the other day, and I know you were in there, and it might have been your question even that he was answering. Just what is it about this pitching staff in particular? Because you've got guys, Nola had been a little bit rocky, and then now you're looking at two really great starts for him. And he was saying everybody feels it, right? He feels it when Zach Wheeler goes out there. You pick your poison with them. They have to realize that. They have to really embrace it and enjoy it and kind of feed off of one another, whether it's the bats or the pitching.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, you look at, you mentioned Nola, right? And the start, certainly his first start of the year, it wasn't kind of what you would hope for out of Aaron, but you just know, like, every single guy on the team has it, right? And at some point, whether it's baseball, it's a long season. Not everyone is going to have it every single game the entire season, but they all know the talent level of every single player that they have in that room, and they know that it's incredibly high. So that when they get it, like the way Aaron has gotten it the past two starts that he's had, or the way Ranger has, frankly, every start that he's had this year, like, they know it's there, and they believe in each other enough to believe that it will manifest itself at some point in the season, for some streak of the season, and they're going to need it when it does. Because, I mean, we saw this Phillies team and what they did last year. They didn't start hot, and then they got crazy hot in, like August. And that there's going to be times where potentially, hey, maybe the bats just don't have a hot weekend or don't have a hot series. Well, when you're looking at Wheeler, Nola, the way he's playing now, Ranger Suarez, the way he's playing now, Christopher Sanchez is playing pretty decent, and the bullpen guys, I mean, some of them just have it, some of them are finding it. You just know there is someone sturdy to lean on if today you're not feeling so sturdy.
Talking to Taran Hatcher on the Comcast Business Hotline. And Taran, We've seen or heard a little bit about Trey Turner. It's kind of gotten ramped up over the last few days. What's your feeling on when he may be back, or maybe you have some inside scoop of how that progression is going?
I wish I had a feeling on when he would be back, but even in our behind-the-scenes meetings with Rob, where sometimes he'll give us like a little bit more context for stuff so we don't, lead people the wrong direction on air, he's really not – he really has not set a timeline. And I think it has everything to do – Trey looks phenomenal when he's running out on the field. Like, he has looked really – I've watched a few of his like agility sessions, I guess we could call them, or just ramp up sessions where he's out there running, and he looks good from what we can see from him running back and forth, right? I know they want to get him in cages and let him do some batting and see how he feels, but I think Rob is really cautious because of the nature of the injury. It can nag, it can, come back and be nasty and linger with you. So I really think he wants to, as much as Trey, and I know Reese Hoskins said this last year with his ACL, like, athletes always want to beat the timetable they're given. And Trey looks like he's trying to smash the timetable he's been given. I do think they want to be very careful. And this goes back to what we were saying before about the depth of this team. It's huge when you have like an Edmundo Sosa playing the way he's playing, because Rob mentioned when Trey comes back, even when they're comfortable with having him back at first, he will not be used the way they've been using Trey, because they want to be careful. They want to have him back for the long haul with no residual issues. And so you're going to see, like the Sosas of the world come in the way that they have in his absence. So, it's really fortunate that they have a lot of guys who can kind of buffer the blow that was that injury and keep this team in it in a big way.
We've talked earlier about this, and I know that it's something that's come up with you as well, and you guys talk about it on the broadcast with Tom and with Kruk or Ben or Ruben or whoever's out there, but this team is beating the teams on their schedule, and there's naysayers or people that are not ready to completely buy in yet saying, oh, well, these teams are, X amount of games under 500, but the fact is that the Phillies are still beating them. When you look at this series that starts today, and I know you'll be out there, and I'm sure Topper is going to speak in a couple hours, so Taran will be there. Make sure you guys tune in and pregame live. This is a good series as a first, real test of this good version of the Phillies team, right? How do you think that this team is viewing this Rangers kind of 3-game set?
Well, I think it's interesting because I wonder, we asked the guys, what do you think about the schedule and this, that, and the next thing, right? And if they care about the chatter, and they're always going to give us the answers of no, we just beat who's in front of us, so on and so forth. But I'm sure it's every good team that's in their path now, they want to prove that it's not a fluke. And no one said that to me explicitly, but you do sit there and you go, I think these guys, they're having so much fun playing and they're having so much success that they probably, frankly, don't care too much about the outside noise. But when you look at a Bryce Harper, for instance, who's if you hit 3 home runs in a game, you want 4. Those types of guys go, okay, well, you put a good team in front of me now. I'm sure they want to crush them, right? Because they want to prove to everybody, we can only play the schedule we're playing, and we're playing it pretty well. And as the schedule gets harder, let's just keep playing it well. I'm sure that is their mindset. But, the guys have been asked about it, 100 ways. And their answer is always, what else do you want us to do? We can't request to go play, the next best team in the league and then come in that weekend just to prove to somebody who doesn't like that we're, have the best record in baseball or whatever it is at that point, that we deserve to have it. All we can do is play our schedule and try to maintain the pace that we're playing at.
Talking to Taran Hatcher on the Comcast Business Hotline. And Taran, when a team is going as well as the Phillies are, some people look and say, yeah, but is it sustainable? We've kind of come to the decision that almost everything with this team is sustainable right now. I'll take it the other way with you. Are there some things that we haven't seen yet that you think may be yet to come?
In a positive way or not?
Sure.
I don't know, because I kind of feel like everybody's rounding into great shape all at once. You know what I mean? Bryson Stott has really found his swing again, and you can't say enough things about Alex Bohm right now. And Bryce is hitting them back out of the park in big moments, and we've seen Aaron Nola in his last 2 starts look like what you want to see from him. I feel like everything is coming together in a way that it does, frankly. I mean, when I ask the coaching staff or the players about, is this sustainable? A lot of their answer is yeah, because it's not just one guy. Mm-hmm. It's not just like you need Bryce to hit, a home run with 2 runners in scoring position every game to win a game. You don't. You're going to have a Pache who has a big game. You're going to have a Sosa who has a big game. You're going to have a Cody Clemens who comes in and have a big game. Like, there's not one way they're doing it. So it's not like if that way doesn't work today, we're done for. There's 1,000 ways this team can beat you, and they have shown that time and time again that they'll do exactly that. Their starting pitcher might not play great, but then their bat. I mean, it was Bryce the other night, who's in the 5th inning, I think it was Rangers' last start, said, like, guys, come on, we got to get some runs and get Ranger a win here, because at that point he was unbeaten and they'd given up a few early. You sit there and you go, all right, so this team can get it done in a variation of different ways, and having that flexibility in how you have to win a game, I think is huge for consistency and being able to do it going forward.
One of my favorite things, there's a lot of things that I like about the broadcast, obviously, but is the back and forth with John Crook. It is as much as fun. It's as much fun as it looks like, isn't it?
It's so much more fun, like, even off air.
I know.
But the thing
there's a lot of stuff that probably doesn't make.
No. And it's, like, hilarious off air. But so much of it is for the moment. Like, sometimes I'll hear in my ear, we're going to open your mic, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, what is coming my direction right now? And what's so funny is, like, I'll just be out. The other day I was at Starbucks, and somebody was like, are you Taran? And I was just like, yeah. And they go, do you and John like each other? And I was like, yeah, I love John. Like, I really do. And they're like, okay, because I can't tell. Sometimes it's like, it seems like it's like he's razzing you and it's all in good fun and you're razzing him back. But then sometimes I'm just like, I really hope they like each other, because it's not that funny. And I was like, no, like, I adore John. I think he's great. And I love that so on air, he'll exclusively call me vegan. And then off air, like, if we have any guests that come into our workroom, he'll be like, this is Taran. She's a pescatarian or one of those religions.
Yeah.
Like,
he'll just make up something.
Yeah. And
you only eat organic fruit or whatever. He's like, we're like, what are you talking about? You never know what he's going to say.
No.
Yeah. I'm like, John, I was raised Methodist and I just don't eat meat, bud.
That's it. That's just the only thing.
Yeah, it's great. But no, it is so funny, and it's so much fun. And I never know what's coming my direction, truly, and it always gives me a laugh.
All right, Taran, last thing we're going to ask you here. Yes or no question. Okay. Do the Phillies beat the club record of 102 wins in a season?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, I'm going to go, yeah.
There it is.
Let's do it.
We're chalking up all the people that we ask, and we're tallying them up, and we'll let people know at the end of the week. That's right. Taran, thanks so much for joining us today.
Betting the under is no fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
right. It's always fun. It's always fun to root for wins. It's always fun to root for points. So I say betting the under is no fun. Go for the over.
All right, you got it.
Taran,
thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Taran Hatcher from NBC Sports Philadelphia, who it's a fun job. Like, people that watch are like, oh, my God, she gets to walk around and taste different foods and talk to – but you got to find those fun things. And some people might not realize, like, she's going around finding those fun things to relay, to the people watching, and she does a great job of it. Ray, we've been inundated, according to you. You do know what that means, right? Inundated?
It's English.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
With texts on all sorts of different topics that we have today. Don't shake your head in disgust at me. What are some of the texters saying to us, Ray? I apologize. I was just teasing.
No. Yeah, I was shaking my head in disgust, not saying that I definitely knew what you were talking about and didn't. Speaking of fun, let's go with the text from Dan in Phoenix. Those who can't find joy in watching the Phillies right now must be a real treat at a party.
Oh.
I'll tell you, I didn't want to be down on anybody. And we had a call, I think it was Jay yesterday, who called and said, he gave it the but. Yeah, I'm watching, but, like, what's it all mean? I said, what difference does it make? What it means is they're 34-14. What it means is right now national pundits are calling them the best team not only in the National League but in baseball. Like, go ahead and enjoy that. Let's just enjoy that. What are some others saying, right?
Let's stay out west with Mark in SoCal. Our fan base is having a difficult time separating our emotions from our expectations. When the Phillies went to the World Series 2 years ago, it was fun, like playing with house money. While I was disappointed in the outcome, it didn't hurt so bad because my expectations wasn't the World Series. How will we feel this year if they fall short? How about the Birds in this coming season? I'm not sure if we as a fan base can separate the two. I personally don't think it's a chore. Being as invested as we are, hard to be both.
Huh. All right, well, let me ask you this, Amy. Do you think people were more, let's see, were they more upset with last year's ending to the Phillies than they were happy with the year before's ending?
Probably more. Yeah, do they enjoy 2022 as much as they were disappointed by 2023?
Right.
No. I think because of 2022,
the disappointing was more. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah,
What else
it's
we
hard
got,
to
Ray?
not have them together.
I think we should put this on like a T-shirt, maybe a sign inside your home. Ask people, do you accept failure because you're afraid to fall short of success? Every day and every season is a new opportunity to do something great. That's how I approach sports and life.
All right, read the first part of that again. Are you afraid?
Ask the people, do you accept failure because you're afraid to fall short of success?
Right, like you're not even putting yourself out there type of vibe?
Ooh.
I don't know. Wow, that's a little.
It's the
But
old
it's not
worst they
my
could do is say
failure
no.
or success. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's not actually your.
Yeah, but some people think it might be.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're a loser. You're a Phillies fan.
we do kind of take ownership of it in that way.
Which I love. But the expression is hope springs eternal. There was a former coach at Kentucky football, and if you follow Kentucky football, God bless. Terrible, not good. They're in the SEC, but he would always say hope springs eternal. It was almost ironic because it does spring eternal, but it springs eternal because you're going to, maybe win 6 games. Good for you.
Yeah, because you stink. So we
Exactly.
hope you don't stink. So yippee.
But yeah, hope springs eternal.
Yeah. All right. Any more interesting ones, Ray?
Now we got people jumping to the players or teams they attach to non-Philly wise. Oilers and Eddie George, Legion of Boom and the Seahawks.
No, none of those. Eddie George, local guy. No, I never really caught on to that. None of those. No, Legion of Boom, nothing.
I enjoyed that Seahawks team.
Okay.
Chris in Orlando saying that it's just the underdog team that hasn't won recently, just hates dynasties. I assume. Save if Philadelphia had one. I think you'd appreciate that one. But outside of that, in terms of rooting against dynasties, rooting against teams that have won before, continuing to move up here. Steve in New Jersey checking in. Big Kentucky Wildcats fan. So there you go,
buddy.
Amy. But talked about this year after getting knocked out, got hooked on NC State and really enjoyed watching them. We got another college basketball text about Kemba Walker as well as someone that people attach.
That was
That was
fun.
a fun one.
That
'Cause
was fun.
He ran roughshod through the Big East and then through the NCAA tournament.
He did. It was one of the most spectacular individual performances.
crazy run.
That really was. And if I'm not mistaken, they won 5 in a row in the Big East, right?
They didn't lose. Once they went.
But I mean, they had no bye.
No, they had no bye.
Right.
They had, as soon as they entered the postseason, they won every game that they played.
That's interesting.
That's quite a run.
I was trying to think. Yeah, I was trying to think of some of the ones that you just said, Ray. None of them really grabbed me all that much. I mean, I was a little surprised. What teams was I kind of thinking of here? I don't know. There's got to be other teams. Nobody's going to say like a Patriots team after the Eagles were out that you were like, you like that dynasty.
I don't think at any point you said the Patriots.
No, nobody would ever say that. Probably no Boston, New York team would ever get there. Like,
How about
the
they
Heat? Were fun.
I feel like people liked the Heat until they didn't like the Heat.
I was in a different spot because I was covering back then. So the Sixers, I know 11. It was 11 the Sixers had the Heat in the playoffs, and didn't they have everybody then?
They've played a couple.
LeBron, they played a couple of times, I think. I want to say. But, yeah, I wasn't I'm not a big...
How about the Showtime Lakers?
Wow, that was
dynasty.
Different. Yeah.
And people really liked
There's
them.
a lot of people out there that probably never saw that.
I think it was the personalities.
Which was cool. Yeah. So what happened with that? They did the one. What was the name of the season that they did?
It was Jeff Pearlman wrote the.
Yeah. What the heck was it? Well, anyway, they did the season 1, which I watched and I loved. Then they started season 2 and they just axed it, right?
Well, I think what
the hell was the name of it? Why are we
HBO Max?
No, it's the Lakers.
The Lakers
winning time.
Thank
winning
you.
time, yes.
I
And then
think it started when the strike happened,
Oh, okay.
and then it never came back.
As cheesy as it was trying to watch those actors be basketball players, and when I
It
read
was fun though.
that the guy playing Julius Erving was like 56 years old, running up and down a court, I was like, oh boy. But
The story
you
was
know,
compelling. If you were interested in the Showtime Lakers, I know
Exactly.
a lot of people that really liked that because they liked reliving that time.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was.
Because even if you just heard stories about it, or you were my mom was she always liked the Lakers, and so I remember growing up, we would watch
Yeah.
with little kids, we'd be watching those Laker teams.
Yeah, if you weren't a Sixers fan, and we all were, but I mean, if you could separate from your fandom and be able to watch that Lakers team back then, it was spectacular. And that's when I started to, I think, mature as a fan, where I did appreciate, although I hated the team, I appreciated Larry Bird's game, and he did become my favorite non-Sixer player of all. Why? Why do you shake your head?
I'm glad you're mature. I'm glad you're mature.
Don't you have a favorite non-Philadelphia player in sports?
I do. I just don't think they would play for the Celtics.
Oh.
Well, you admitted it. You're immature.
I'm fully aware of that.
We thought you crossed the line the other night when he went down to the teenage boys and said, "Now, boys, this is his quote. This is a quote, Aim.
This is for the graduation
3:30 in the
party?
morning. He's in charge of all the 18-year-olds. He hears his dad kind of rumbling around upstairs, and Ray's like, "Oh no, I hope the dad doesn't go down to tell the boys
To be quiet, yeah.
So Ray goes down. Now, boys, you need to stop carrying on.
You said carrying on?
I did.
And I thought I talked like an old lady.
Yeah, well, that, and I did utter the phrase, "Oh, those kids," and that was it. That was it for me. I
You're like
became
a
an adult.
Scooby-Doo episode.
I did.
His younger body, like, literally left him, and he saw it going up the stairs and just leaving to never come back again. So Ray has become an official adult. Okay, when we get back, we're having fun with this fan thing.
It's good stuff.
Both, like, how do you look at yourself as a fan? Are you frustrated by it? Is it all joy? We had so many great comments on our YouTube page. I got a couple of texts about it. But be honest with yourself. How do you look at yourself as a fan? Is it a chore like our poll says? Or, no, I just go into it looking for the best of it. Because I think if we're being totally honest with ourselves, there is some choreness that goes into it, Aim.
Yeah.
Amy's going to be here with us until 2 o'clock. We'll take you into the best show ever with Tyrone, Ricky, and I guess Sylvana's here also today. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Bob Cooney. It's also Amy Fadulin with us today. Woo! Our ray of sunshine. So happy to have you here, Aim. As we talk about so many different things today. I even asked Ray while we were interviewing Taran Hatcher. I was like, dude, am I too all over the place today, or are we all right? He's like, we're good. We're good to go.
I figured it out.
See, that's the trust. That's the trust and the love, Aim, that I have in my producer. Sometimes things don't get reciprocated, but you just hope at some point
You were driving
maybe,
along just nicely there.
just maybe they will. I'm just teasing you, Ray.
No, it's okay. I'm
was
just taking
effusive.
mental stock of this. I'm going to remember it, file this away.
Oh, stop. We tease because we love. Hey, I got to tell you, the 12 o'clock hour, Aim, we're in the middle of the 12 o'clock hour.
Wonderful hour.
Yes, and it's being brought to us by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirstHVAC.com. That's right. So talking to Taran, it's interesting. First, it was good to hear that she and John Kruk get along.
It's hilarious. People used to think that stuff like that, because I think they have a fun relationship. I remember Ricky Bowe would get that a lot. People think that people don't get along with Ricky Bowe, which is just laughable. He's one of the most amiable people.
It's a question I have gotten.
If you like Ricky Bowe?
No.
Or like if you like somebody else that you work with?
Yeah. I think we've gotten it a little bit. See, Ray still can't read me totally yet, which is totally understandable because some of my best friends are still there. But like I'll say things that I act very serious on.
Yes.
And, Ray has to be like, oh, my God. And then I'm like, just kidding. And he gets mad. And understandably so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was someone that used to work here, and I got asked it all the time. Oh, my God, you guys hate each other. We're like, no, we actually don't. We're just kidding around. But it's cool to hear that Taran and John have a good relationship. But it was also cool to hear what she said about the team. Like, I asked her about sustainability, and I was kind of looking for an answer that I didn't get because maybe she doesn't believe it. But the sustainability part I'll hit on first. She says everybody in that locker room kind of believes. Now, you're not going to come out and go, yeah, you know what, Rangers not going to be this good for the rest of the year. But I remember covering the Sixers when Doug Collins was head coach. One of his favorite sayings was fool's gold. Yeah, Evan might have had 25 in 3 straight games, but we got to be careful. It's not fool's gold. So you can have a look and say, like, yeah, that might not last realistically. Is there anything with this team that
Sorry, you just brought up Evan Turner.
Yeah.
Spot on, though. It really was fool's gold. Sorry.
Great guy, though. One of my favorites
AT
of
is
all
one of the
time.
top people. Yeah, talk about a great human.
All time.
AT's great.
Yeah. Getting off track a little bit. The morning show was talking about Bryce Harper going to a girl's house and asking her to go to a prom with one of his neighbors, right?
It was he assisted in the promposal.
I thought they said
he's holding the sign like, hey, here's my guy over here.
Oh, okay. All right, that's pretty cool. Anyway, those guys were talking about how come more athletes don't do that, whatever. A lot of people around here deemed that Evan Turner, because he didn't live up to basketball expectations, he's an idiot, he's this, he's that. I didn't tell the story. Evan Turner couldn't have been nicer to people than anyone in the history of the world. Telling people to wait for him after a game so he could meet their kids or whatever. I know a story about him going down to Disney World with people, for people, all of that stuff. Yeah. So there's a lot of goodness of people. But anyway. Yeah, getting back to what we're saying.
Sustainability. And the point that she brought up is one that I think you and I have touched on as well. Do we think Rangers going to go undefeated?
Right.
No. But do we think he's going to be able to play at this level? Meaning, give them chances to win, set his team up for success by pitching in the way that he's done? Yes. And I think that belief is there within the team, around the team, nationally.
Within him.
Yeah, he believes it. I think he's a guy that believes he can win a Cy Young. I think he believes in his talent, and I think everybody else looks at it. So can Alec Boehm continue to hit .335 or whatever it is at this point? Probably close. I mean, is he going to be that exact number? So I think the belief is that it's sustainable in its macro, in its bigger form. Maybe not the finite details of this exact number.
Great way of putting it.
But it's like is this team sustainable? Yeah, I think there's a belief because you've seen it. No matter who they've played, that you've seen it. They've shown that they can be that team.
So it led to my follow-up of that question. Do you think that there's something more to come positively? Because I had a thought in my head about it. Taran didn't go there. I'll ask you, from this team, is there something more, do you think, good that can come to this team? Because I have something specific.
Yeah, you asked her that, and she was like, well, everybody's kind of already getting there, which I think is true. And I think you're seeing the seeds being grown of, like, anybody that's been a little bit off, it seems like they're trying to get there. Is there any more to come in a positive way? I do. The one thing that I think, and maybe they have shown it, but I need to see it against teams that are, several games above 500, is the ability to really either hammer down an opponent when you have to that's on your level, or a team come back and win. That kind of closing mentality. I've seen it. I think I will continue to see it, but that's something else I think could come more, that kind of killer instinct.
Okay, I had something specific. You didn't bring it up either. And maybe I'm wrong on this. And, Ray, I'm anxious for your input on it also. There's a dude that plays for the Phillies that I didn't anticipate hitting like 205 this year. There's a guy that I put out there that after the season is done, when I combined home runs and doubles, I need him to be around 60. That projected number right now is like 35-ish.
You're talking about
and I'm talking about the right fielder. And I'm talking about Nick Castellanos.
So you think he will?
I'm asking. It's become more of a question now that I want to ask to others, because I said it as recently as about a week ago, I think, Ray, that, look, he's probably going to hit a hot streak, because I don't think he's a 205 hitter this year. I think he's going to hit like 245 because of this slow start, 245, 250. Is that asking too much? Maybe. But what do you expect for the rest of the season out of Nick Castellanos? Is he a 205 hitter?
No. But do I think that he's going to be a guy that can bat 250? He's going to have to go on a serious hot streak to get there at this point.
Yeah, and that's not asking too much, though,
it's not.
Is it?
And I think that maybe, and I don't mean to poo-poo your thought, maybe the idea is, yeah, go ahead. Again, I said I talk like an old lady.
Fun. No.
Yeah, I saw the eyes.
I'm just saying, you went from in less than an hour, je ne sais quoi, to poo-poo.
Well, I'm sorry. Next time I use the French version.
I got Ray talking to kids about carrying on. I just don't know
You're
where
rubbing
we're
off
going
on
with
us. But I think the joy is they're doing all this in spite of a guy that should be batting 250 and should combine for, pushing 80 RBI. We should be seeing that from him, and they're still winning without him. So anything you get from him is almost gravy, and that sounds weird to say with a contract that he has and the expectation and the player. I always go to an old adage Jim Salisbury uses. It's the back of their baseball card.
Yeah.
His back of his baseball card has never looked like this. It didn't look like that last year until it did, and then now you're wondering, I think, all right, well, maybe he's just a guy that's going to bat 230, and we take it for what it is.
It's strange, because you're talking about a guy. And I'll just, glance through the years. You got 285, 272, 298, 289, 273, limited games 321, 309, 263. Last year with the Phillies, 272.
Wait, he went on that tear at the end.
Yeah, and you are talking numbers. I didn't just combine as far as his home runs and RBI, or home runs and doubles combined. It's a legitimate goal. I had it last year for him at 63. I think I put it at the beginning of the season, and he went for 73. 37 home runs, 36 doubles. I mean, he's sitting at 4 home runs and 3 doubles right now.
I mean, it took him several weeks into the season to get his first double. So, yeah, you wonder when his baseball card is going to be the norm and not this season be the exception to that baseball card. You want to see when those numbers start to creep up. It would take an incredible streak to get to some of those numbers right now.
Yeah, it would, and I just can't imagine.
Not that he's not capable, because we've seen it.
I think he is, but it's kind of hard. It's like we talked about yesterday with this unconventional lineup. Think how unconventional this could be. This might be the best team in baseball right now, and 2 of your $100 million players, which was big for a 5-year 4 or 5 year contract, are going to be hitting like right around 200. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, with Castellanos, I think what he's been since April 30th, where he's hitting like 260, OPS of like 760 in that time. That just might be who he is now.
I'll take 260.
The last 2 seasons combined, and I understand it was a down first year, but it's a lot of data at this point. When we start going to the back of the baseball card, his OPS between those 2 seasons was 745. Like, this just might be who he is. You're going to get more extra base hits than what you've gotten because, again, those first couple weeks of the season without any. But this could just be who he is. And I'm talking more the last month of play for him than the whole entire picture. I don't think he's a 207 hitter, but I don't think you're getting Cincinnati, Detroit, like those years of him back. I think you, at this point, the way we talked about players and other teams with, forget the contract, accept who they are, this might just be who you have to accept he is. Whether it's enough is another question, but you have enough firepower in this lineup where you should feel pretty good about the group as a whole. But for him, I'm a little more down on the idea that he's going to give us some revelation. Like the hot streak you talked about, again, 250, I don't know if that's coming. I think
that's
he might,
we can play out the numbers. It's going to be tough.
I think he might slowly work his way up, 230s, 240, like maybe get up to a 240. Realistic. But he put himself in a serious hole, and I don't know if he's got that in him. He might have that 2-3 week stretch where he's just hitting everything. Like last season, we could talk about the postseason. That ended the way it did for him. He did have that torrid stretch at the beginning of the postseason. That's part of the reason they got to where they got. So you're always expecting there would be a torrid stretch in there, but I don't know if it's going to be long enough to lift him to the heights that we're hoping for in terms of end-of-season numbers.
Might not be. Career 274 hitter, maybe, we might be well behind that. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe that's part of the goodness still to come with this Philadelphia Phillies team. All right, when we get back, I asked all you guys yesterday. I asked Ray. We had a lot of people chime in on it, but now it's time to ask Amy the if question when it comes to Philadelphia sports. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic.
ESPN's
Thanks for coming back, everybody. Get close to the 1 o'clock hour. I do want to tell you about our Fanatic Deal of the Week. It's Maurice Piers. Check out the Fanatics Deal of the Week for a limited time only. Get a same-day ride and water park ticket to Maurice Piers for just $70. That's a $50 savings per ticket for unlimited rides on 3 piers and both water parks for a whole day. You can get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. Your kids like the water parks?
They do like the water parks.
Well, I still like the water parks.
One of the best water park experiences, when the rides are great, but a good lazy river. Give me a good lazy river.
I could do a lazy river all day long. Yeah,
Lazy
because
rivers are fun.
sometimes you might, stay up late and have a few cocktails, and then it's like, I got to take the kids to the water park. Oh, that's okay. We can do the lazy river to start.
But you got to get a couple of good, slide rides in there, too.
Oh, absolutely. Man,
Sure.
we went to Disney one time, and we went to a water park, and we got in line to go down a slide, and I didn't realize, and it's still to this day, Aim, I'm not kidding you, it scares, I almost cry. And I was with our son, Tommy, who has autism, and we go up, and we're climbing these stairs, and I'm like, wait, where's this water slide?
This seems high.
It was a straight, one of those straight
Was it in a
200,
tube?
no.
Oh, no.
Straight 200-foot drops. And I'm like, oh, my God, I can't do this because I couldn't go with them. All right, and we were up there, and there was almost no turning back. And he kept marching, and I'm not kidding. My heart is pounding right now. And God bless him. He went up, and he did it. And I think he was scared, but he didn't really
impressive.
say, And then I had to do it, but that's neither here nor there. But, oh, man, it still gives me, that was horrible. Okay, anyway, yesterday, Aim, one of our themes was If. The movie If is coming out, or came out this weekend. Matt Cowper, one of our national salespeople, or the national salesperson here at the cluster, as we call it, told me he went to see it this weekend, said it was interesting. I don't know if it's getting the greatest of reviews, but it interests me. So I put it out there to the sports fandom in Philadelphia. What's your biggest if when it comes to Philadelphia sports? I started it off with kind of a funny one but I do believe it. If Alshon Jeffrey would have caught that pass against the New Orleans Saints, I don't think the Eagles were winning that game. A lot of people are like, they would have won another Super Bowl. I don't think they were going to win that game. I really don't. I just don't. That was a New Orleans team that spanked them earlier in the year. It was surprising the Eagles were hanging with them. I just don't think they were going to win that game. Do you have a big if when it comes to Philadelphia sports?
You could go really finite and really specific, like something like a catch. Or a pitch, or a bucket. If Kawhi Leonard's shot doesn't go in.
That was brought up yesterday, too.
Because that's good, because that was the only team to take them to 7. Everybody else, they kind of dispatched quickly. Do they win anything? But there's so many ifs after that, because it doesn't. Because I know people are like, if they don't lose to the Buccaneers, is that their first Super Bowl? And
that was a good one. Nobody brought that one up. If they would have won the last game in the vet, they would have won the Super Bowl.
I think there's a lot of.
That's a pretty good one. I don't think we had that one yesterday.
Because you look at that Super Bowl, and that was against the Raiders, the terrible.
Yeah, the Raiders. There was a Raiders team.
One of the worst Super Bowls I've ever seen, which Rich Gannon, terrible Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to look at that and be like, a lot of people say that could have been the Eagles' Super Bowl. Now they have one, but yeah, I mean, I think generally overall, the Kawhi shot came to mind when you first said that. But I think just an overall vibe. I think one of the ones, and I'm sure it probably got brought up, if Andy Reid had stayed here, could he have done some of the success here in Philadelphia? Or was it just time?
Wow. That's another one we didn't have yesterday.
I think that's come up maybe more recently just because I think it was time. And I think you can look back on that and realize it was time. And he would say that too, and I think the Eagles. And obviously they've both gone on to have success. They've had a lot more success in Kansas City. But then I go to draft picks. Because that's the bigger if to me that you could, what if you got Justin Jefferson? What if you saw that you could draft Patrick Mahomes? What if you could have had him? Patrick Mahomes in an Eagles uniform would have been amazing.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I'll take it now. It still's possible. Come on over, Pat. Things like that. If Mikal Bridges had stayed here, if they didn't select Ben Simmons, if they didn't select Markelle Fultz, if they didn't select.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. Too many. So I think there's a lot, but I always think of a singular player because I think that could be such a difference maker rather than a single play.
You did not say one that I thought would be at the top of your list.
If Christian Leitner
there
got
it
thrown
is.
out. No, I'm trying to move past that. That poor guy, he has enough loathsome from an entire fan base that extends.
Aw, she feels sorry for
I
the
do
guy
not
that
feel
broke
sorry
her heart.
for him. But I just, at this point, I'm like, he is who he is. And that's another thing people talk about. We were talking about the Dream Team and how they ran roughshod over everybody. Like, just incredible. The entire team made up of top 75 all-time players.
Right.
Save one.
Yeah.
But at the time, the best college basketball player in probably the last 30 years at that point.
I thought it was cute at the time. Like, oh, that's nice.
And then you
They're
look back, you're like,
including
really?
him.
Like, Isaiah Thomas couldn't make that team for other reasons. But Christian Laettner's on that team.
Yeah,
and he still couldn't even get in. They're waxing Angola by 100 points, and he still doesn't get in the game.
It was just one of these things just does not belong here from
he
the
did
Sesame
not.
Street.
Yeah.
And he just
We
was
used to have
that.
like the Dream Team. We still have a Dream Team poster in our house.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. Like the caricature ones. I have the shirts still, too.
So
that was a fun team.
You were telling me about a project your son had to do concerning Pennsylvania.
Yes.
That little Sean had to do. And he's doing it about, I guess, like the history of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Supposedly, yeah. You were supposed to pick something about Pennsylvania, Hershey or Valley Forge, Liberty Bell. You can go over like Lake Erie. You can pick anything. And he chose the Phillies. So he learned about he gave like a bunch of facts about the Phillies, and he interviewed Ricky Bowe and Ruben Amaro Jr.
And you had an argument with him about Tommy Green bit. Like, the conversation that you have with your 9-year-old son.
That's what my sister
I
was
want you to call me and put me on speakerphone just to be like, this is pretty cool.
So it's on. Shawnee's has a little. So we have to upload the project, and I spliced together the interviews and kind of set it up with his little history lesson. And you have to send that. It's on the YouTube link. And my family saw it. My sister actually just called me. She was like, "Does he ever look at himself and think, there's not a lot of 9-year-olds that have the conversations that I have?" And I said, I think that he has a good balance. He can talk like a 9-year-old, and he can also talk like he's 17.
Yeah, I can't imagine being 9 and my mom coming down going, "Yo, Ma, who won that Edmonton-Vancouver game last night?
Like,
and what happened?"
Did
And
you
her
see
being able
Caitlin
to.
Clark? Yeah, I did, Sean.
Yeah, I
You wanna
watched
talk
that
about
before the hockey game. Yeah. Oh, man. All
good
right,
stuff.
when we get back, there's something that I want to talk about with Amy, and that is this. I want to know when the summer comes. It's my favorite time of the year, but it's not my favorite time because of sports. But it's my favorite time of the year. Where does your sports mind go when summer comes? Is there somewhere else it goes besides just baseball? We'll talk about that a whole lot more. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome back, or thanks for joining us as we hit the 1 o'clock hour here on the Midday Show. I'm Bob Cooney. We got Amy Fadul with us today, and of course, the wonderful Ray Dunn as our producer once again. So we appreciate you out there listening and joining us. I just asked Amy the if question last segment because it was something we ran with yesterday, and I think Scott in Mullica Hill, we'll get to him real quick, as to one of his maybe shoulda, coulda moments. Scott, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, I just want to say, am I on here?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. I want to say that, listen, I say, and I said it from the start, if Carson Wentz doesn't get injured the year of our Super Bowl victory, we don't win the Super Bowl because there's just no way that Carson could have kept up with Tom Brady like the way Foles did. What do you guys think about that?
Wow.
That's taking it a whole nother way.
I didn't know where he was going with that. I thought he was going to say, like, maybe he just did, but kept up with Tom Brady the way that Nick Foles did. I like it.
Okay, well, how do you feel about it?
Wow.
Give me your
I don't
opinion.
know.
But the
I've been
year
talking
Nick-
that opinion a long time.
But
Wow,
Nick,
okay.
I mean, I'm sorry. Carson Wentz was having that kind of a
He
year
was like an MVP candidate.
that Nick Foles ultimately had in those final two games, right, Scott?
He was, but
Oh.
he was still Carson Wentz in the end. You know, they
Well, no,
hadn't
he was
figured
Carson
him out
Wentz
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Yeah. This was
I
before
get
it
it, but-
became Carson Wentz.
but
You're
you're
saying he
also
would have been
talking-
that guy.
Correct. You're also talking, Bill Belichick, the Patriots in their prime, Tom Brady in their prime. I'm saying they don't win
Huh. I
and,
don't know.
and beat them without Nick Foles throwing lights out that game
But
and,
we
and
didn't
just
know
throwing
that Nick-
caution to the wind.
You didn't know that Nick Foles
Huh.
was going to be
Thanks,
that
Scott.
guy.
Appreciate it.
That's interesting. I don't know where I got what he was saying, and then he took a turn. I was like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. I thought he was just going to say that it just wasn't going to be that.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going there either. I cannot. Look, I think we have to look at it this way. And, Scott, I don't want to disagree with you, but the way Nick Foles played in those final two playoff games, he didn't play great against Atlanta. He played really good against Minnesota and really well against New England. That's the way Carson Wentz was playing all year long.
Right.
I mean, you got to go back. If you go back and look at highlights of Carson Wentz in that year, it was unbelievable. That knee injury, that
Derailed
changed,
everything.
Done.
Derailed
Done.
his entire career.
I talk kiddingly about Jordan Davis laying on the sidelines last year after trying to chase down Josh Allen and laughing that he was totally gassed and all, and saying that his football NFL body left his soul right then and there and went up and sat in the upper bleachers at the link and watched the rest of the year. I think Carson Wentz's really good football body, mind, soul left him in
Confidence,
L.A.
everything.
when he went down and that knee got,
it completely
squashed.
derailed a career.
Yeah, it's a
Because
shame. I hate it.
There was a reason Nick Foles was the backup. I mean, Nick Foles obviously rose to the moment, but to say that they wouldn't have been there with a guy leading the way in the way that he had the entire season up until that point, that's a pretty broad jump for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. They might not have. They probably wouldn't have. But I don't know that would have.
You can't say it for sure that it wouldn't have happened.
I can't say for sure that Tom Brady,
Right. None of this could be said for definite. It's a fun talking point because you think about just how well Nick Foles played, and it's not that Nick Foles is a better quarterback at any of those things. It's just like the level to which Carson Wentz would have had to have played. It was a step above just about anything because of the stage, because of the opponent, because of the time. I have a friend that wholeheartedly believes this, by the way, that went down the path that Scott just did. Yes. Well, he's also a massive Nick Foles guy. He has been a Nick Foles guy from the. There's one person in my life when Carson Wentz went down that actually believed the Eagles had a chance still, and it's that guy. I will say, anyone else who tells me that they believe it, I don't believe them. For him, when he went down and Nick Foles took over, they win that game in L.A., he's like, oh, yeah, they'll be fine.
I remember coming in here the next morning and doing the morning show with how should I describe him? Everybody knows who he is, and crying in his hands. I can't believe this happened. And like legitimate Philadelphia fan, we all know Anthony, and like literally putting his head in his hands and while we were on the show and being like, I can't believe it. It's the one real shot we had. And we had a caller call in the middle of the show and said, I think we're going to be okay. And Anthony's like, what the hell are you talking about? and the guy goes, "There's a billboard when you go over the Walt Whitman Bridge.
I remember the
Believe
billboard.
in Saint Nick."
Yeah, I remember the
and
billboard.
it was like an epiphany. All of us here at the station were like, oh, maybe, just maybe, they have a chance. Maybe.
I think that had to play out exactly how it did, because I don't think you could have had Nick
Well, then
Foles.
you're agreeing with Scott.
No, but I'm thinking Nick.
No, it's okay.
I think he's saying that Nick Foles was better overall. Nick Foles couldn't have gotten you to where you needed to be.
No.
That's
Nick
what
Foles
I mean.
wasn't getting you a number one seed.
You had to have both.
Right.
You had to have Carson
you
Wentz
got
play.
him and you did, so I can't argue with that.
There you go.
But do you guys really believe they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl if Carson Wentz wasn't the quarterback?
No,
Now, you have to remember what Carson Wentz was then.
I think they would have. I think they.
okay.
absolutely- yeah. No.
All right.
I'm not saying they wouldn't.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
you're fake. You're fraudulent.
I can't definitively say they wouldn't, just like I can't definitively say they would. Like
Yes.
I think the whole the journey of winning one and ending up getting there, it takes understanding a little bit of the element of the moment and a little bit of the element of what's happening. Carson Wentz's ascension that year was getting to that MVP level, and he could have balled out in the postseason. He could have been fantastic under the bright lights, and we would have been, they win a Super Bowl, and this was never a conversation. But it was Nick Foles that did it, and Nick Foles had to play at such an elite level. Like, we're talking about one of the greatest Super Bowl performances of all time that I can't just automatically guarantee and say, yeah, Carson Wentz. We've seen a number of guys that have been great quarterbacks that in the postseason they haven't had their moment. And I can't definitively say that Carson Wentz would have had his moment.
But you can't definitively say that he.
Right. But I'm telling you, he would have had to have played at such a level.
He was.
You can't underrate.
All right.
You can't underrate the game that Nick Foles had.
Oh no!
You don't think they would have won with Carson Wentz? Is what it comes down to.
I can't tell you that they would have won with him because I know
Amy just said it perfectly. That's how he was playing that year.
Yeah.
Was Nick Foles? And let's not forget, Nick Foles was the second best quarterback in that game. Like you said it correctly. It was one of the greatest quarterback performances in Super
Tom Brady
Bowl
threw
history.
for 500
500 Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
Absolutely did.
He had 3 receivers over 100 yards.
Absolutely. Diced up that defense. 41-33, man.
But they got it where they needed to be. Strip sack from Brandon Graham.
I think it was destiny.
That they were always going to win no matter what
And
happened?
maybe, just maybe, the destiny was someone upstairs, and I don't mean like Jeffrey Lurie and company, I mean way upstairs.
They felt so
said,
bad for us.
You know what? That's as good as Carson Wentz can play. Somebody has to go take him out because they're not going to win with him. You got to give it to somebody else.
I mean, that
So
now
it
is
was
well
a
beyond any
football
take I can have here. Well beyond
A
any
football
opinion.
god said Philadelphia has to have this Super Bowl title, but they can't do it with Carson Wentz.
You can get there only so far.
So you got to take a shot with somebody else.
Yeah.
And Nick Foles looked horrible to end the season. And in the first half against the Atlanta Falcons, he looked horrible. And then I don't know what
The
in the
football
holy
god was
hell
like,
happened.
"Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Now I'm back in."
That's right. The football gods were like, "Oh, I'm
Ooh.
sorry. Did I step out for a minute? My bad. Nick, I anoint you."
Got you.
I take it another way.
Oh,
someone
geez, here we
upstairs
go.
was looking at us, and they're like, "You know what this town loves? A backup quarterback.
Yeah, they do.
Let's punish
Let's
them
give
to
them
an
everything.
eternity
They
of
got
backup quarterback conversation by having a backup quarterback win a Super Bowl."
And the backup quarterback as a coach.
Yes, exactly. We crossed everything off.
We're all good.
Mike in Delran, he's got a coulda, shoulda, woulda. Mike, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, guys?
How are you?
Mike.
I can tell you this much. Carson Wentz would have never suggested Philly. I guarantee it. Doug would have never looked at Carson and said, "What do you want to do?" Right? It never would have happened.
Well, maybe Nick would have gotten his ears on the sideline and said,
"Hey, I got
Go
this.
ahead, you run that." Because Carson Wentz was a good athlete also.
That was destiny. Carson Wentz wasn't headstrong enough to suggest that one. But anyway, I don't know if they said it yesterday, Bob. I know I texted you one, but what I really 100% believe, if Kawhi Leonard doesn't hit that double, triple, whatever doink, we win the NBA Finals.
Quadruple.
We did have a few of them on
Somebody
here.
brought it up. Do you disagree?
I got to go back and look. I have to look at I'm so bad at that, Mike, about who played who then the next series and who won the title and all that and who was on what team. And that was their best chance. I will say that, yeah.
That was it. You guys keep up the great work. Go Birds.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, Mike. Mike the comedian. What? Go ahead, Ray.
Does Carson Wentz catch it? Does he catch it?
I think.
Also, maybe they don't need those trick plays because Carson Wentz dominated.
Or we never get it because they don't ever get in
now
that
I'm just
position.
playing devil's advocate.
Now,
Oh, 'cause
Nick
they just got
Foles.
smoked.
This was actually all a ploy by Bob to get you and I against one another so he can have a little bit of a rest.
Nick Foles is a phenomenal athlete. Like, if you've ever seen him shoot
Very
a
good basketball player, yes.
like, he's just a really, really good athlete. So is Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a phenomenal athlete. I don't think he would have had trouble catching that wide open. Now, look.
What do you think about Tom Brady as an athlete?
Not a good athlete.
I never thought Brady was a great quarterback. I never envisioned. An athlete to me is.
I'm just going to say anything negative towards Tom Brady.
Well, yeah.
What?
Yeah. But Brady was drafted for baseball, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Montreal Expos.
Is that right?
Yep. He was
He's
the
also
last
selected.
active professional athlete, I think, drafted by the Expos.
6th round.
So he's almost Mr. Irrelevant in two different sports?
Just
And he
saying.
became the greatest quarterback of all time?
It seems like an athlete to me. He couldn't catch a football.
no,
Are we
you're right.
sure that Carson could have caught it? Are we sure?
Yes.
Wow, Ray is going to die on this hill.
I
I
don't
like
know if I'm
it.
going to die on this hill,
like
but I'm going to hang out on this hill for a little bit longer.
Okay. No, I still think they win the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz was having that year. All right, Ty agrees. If Ty agrees with me, I'm on this. Carson Wentz was having that year that Nick Foles had in those final two games. That was a normal game for him.
He was the. I'm not
can hear
taking
Ty
away
from
from.
Yes,
I'm
you
not
are. You
taking
hate
away
you
from
hate
his
Carson
season.
Wentz.
I'm not. You don't win the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz's contributions that year. I'm very much on board with that. You have to the level at which Nick Foles played in that game was a level above anything we've seen. That they needed to win that.
No, it wasn't. If you go back and look at Carson Wentz's numbers that
I've
year.
gone back. I watched it. I lived it. I understand Carson Wentz was great in that
Oh,
season.
he did. We did.
Yeah.
You watched it.
He
You
was
lived
the
it.
MVP when he got hurt.
He was.
Yeah.
I'm
he
not
still
taking
maybe
away
should have
from
been
him.
MVP anyway, even though he missed those last few games.
I'm fine with him winning MVP that year. It just took a certain level to play in that game.
And you
And
don't
I'll
think
never
he
know.
could have risen
I'll
to that
never
level?
know.
All right.
He could have. He also could not have.
Well, I think he would. I think he would have been okay. All right, Amy.
Yeah, I think we look at Carson Wentz now with a lot of revisionist history, knowing what he's become.
Right. And I wish there was
Which
a
I get.
way everybody could remember how they felt at the time of that. Like, that Rams game was a great game.
It was a great game. And then
And
when
the
he
Rams
went down,
were
it was
good.
like, wow.
And it was weird because, remember, he threw the touchdown pass
Yes, no.
after that play
And
to
he'd already
Alshon
gotten hurt.
Jeffrey. Bad throw. And then he just walked off. He literally just walked off
like,
the field
that's
and
it.
kept going.
Yeah.
With the
He
towel
knew.
over his head.
He knew.
Yeah.
Players, they know.
It's crazy. All right, Taste Cake Dom. He's got a coulda, woulda, shoulda. Dom, I can't get him up yet. We'll wait a second on Dom.
Oh, yeah.
But there was so many great ones yesterday. I actually had one that I specifically said I thought was in Dom's mind. Maybe he wasn't listening. Ray, you remember I said it yesterday? I did say it. No,
Oh, yes, you did.
Yes, I did bring up Dom specifically. Let's see if we have the same one. Dom, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Bob. How you doing? Hi, Amy. Hey, Ray.
Doing
Hi,
great,
Dom.
pal.
You're talking about shoulda, coulda, wouldas, Bob?
Here it comes. Wait, be honest, Dom. Were you listening to us yesterday when I mentioned your name?
The whole show.
Oh, okay. That's
But
okay. Go
I don't
ahead.
think so what I wanted to ask you about is, right, the 83 Sixers, right, Bob? They're top 5 greatest team of all times, right, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
They blow through the regular season. They only lose one game in the playoffs. They sweep the Showtime Lakers, another top 5 greatest team of all time. And then they add Charles Barkley to that roster, Bob, and can't win again.
Is that amazing? Now, that's not the way I thought you were going to go, Dom, but think about that. Everybody out there who wasn't
Incredible.
around for that. Dom, let me just rehash what you said real quick. They were the best team in basketball in 1983. They brought Moses Malone in here, Julius Erving, Maurice Cheeks, Andrew Toney, Bobby Jones, all of whom are also Hall of Famers, or Tony would have been had he not gotten hurt. That's where I thought you were going to go, Dom. But that team was so great. I think 67 wins, considered one of the best of all time. And the next year they added Charles Barkley, and they never won another title. They never went to the finals again.
I just never could figure that. I remember Doc said mailing the stats against, I mean, it was inconceivable to me that team wasn't right along with the Lakers and the Celtics
They did a 30 for 30 special on the Lakers and Celtics in the 80s. Boy, Bob, the Sixers, that Sixers team, how many times did they play Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals? How many times before they won it did they play the Lakers in the finals? I mean, they were part of that 80s dynasty too, but they only got the one, so they don't even get mentioned.
Yeah, it was. Thanks, Don. Much appreciated. That was such a frustrating time. And then they get, they're from the late 70s through the early 80s, the Sixers, Celtics, or Lakers were going to be one of your NBA champions.
It was
That's
like a lock.
Just what it was. And the Sixers in 77 got to the finals and lost to Bill Walton and the Portland Trailblazers, which made me cry like a little baby because I was a little baby. But then they finally get over the hump. They get Moses Malone. They get the reigning MVP to bring in with a team that has been lingering around the finals. They bring him in. They win a championship. And the next year, they get Charles Barkley.
It should have been like the start of it all.
Yeah. And you're thinking, okay, he's going to ride out like Dr. J, retired like 3 or 4 years later. And you're like, okay, he can ride off into the sunset. And you just plug Barkley in there. And boom, boom. And then they just don't do it. They get swept the next year by the Nets. Or not swept. Maybe first round lost to the Nets, whatever it was. And then, things just were never the same. Just never the same. That's a really good. I thought he was going to go with Andrew Toney. I said yesterday on the air.
If he was healthy?
If Andrew Toney never had. Now, he had bad feet. And it was one of those things. It was so weird. It was one of those things that the doctors couldn't figure out what it was. And some people started siding against Andrew Toney. Like, dude, the doctors are saying you're not hurt. Get out there and play. He just wasn't the same. Talking to NBA people through the years, it turns out, and I think Toney was one of these guys, that there was a hip misalignment along hips. Their hips were misaligned. A lot of players back then, I don't know if it was because exercising they did, whatever, that led to knee and ankle problems.
I mean, their shoes were not exactly the most cushioning.
The shoes weren't the best either, and there's probably a lot that played into it. But, yeah, I thought that's where Dom was going to go. I'm really surprised that you didn't go to the Duke, Kentucky. Like, if Rick Pitino would have put somebody on the ball. See, am I getting you upset?
How do you not guard the inbound pass? How do you not guard it? How do you not guard the inbound pass?
I mean,
how do you
is that
not
a case
guard
of somebody just
pass?
overthinking? Like, how
they're just trying to crowd Leitner because he was 10 for 10, and at that point, 10 for 10 from the free throw line, and 9 for 9 at that point because he finished 10 for 10. But they were so terrified of fouling him because he was so good at the free throw line. So you should look at the defense. If you really want to dissect like how it could have gone wrong.
If you didn't have somebody on the ball, why weren't you fronting and backing him?
Well, they did. They had two guys fronting him, but there's not a guy on the back.
Yeah,
Pelfrey,
once he caught it, he did the little shimmy.
He had time to dribble.
Yeah, one dribble.
And so you see you guys, no one cares about Darren Feldhouse or John Pelfrey, but they were the ones that were tasked with guarding him, and it did not go well.
No,
they didn't really guard him. They were just terrified. And you'll have to remember Jamal Mashburn had fouled out. What if Jamal Mashburn had never fouled out?
Good point.
He was the only player that didn't have a mustache that was actually very good.
103-102 final? Was that what it was?
Yeah, in overtime.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame, man.
But the thing is, you got him back in 1998 if you really want to, go down there.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you wanted to change that Christian Leitner shot.
Nope. I'm trying to pretend it didn't happen at the Spectrum.
You just don't seem to care enough, Amy. 1 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Lyon Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. Okay, when we get back, I teased it before. We didn't get a chance to get to it just yet, but I want to ask Amy now. How do you handle the summer, which is coming up unofficially this weekend, in the sports world? Because it's not a great time. I absolutely love summer. I love staying outside. I love everything that entails the summertime. I love the shore, the water, everything. But it's not a great time now, it will be for us because we have Phillies baseball. But how in general do you handle the non-sports of the summer? I want to see what Amy has to say about it. And you also, 610-632-0975. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome back. Middays, 97.5, The Fanatic. Amy Fadul with us here all day long. The controversial Ray Dunn is our producer today, as he always is.
Why is he controversial? Oh, for the Carson Wentz take?
Like, he just comes in here.
He did come in hot.
Yeah.
I came in there very relaxed. There was no word said. I walked in and let you finish your point. You guys were having a nice conversation. I was just waiting for my time to speak.
Tyrone is so against what you're saying.
I know. It's 21 quarterbacks have won regular season MVP since the year 2000. 19 of them failed to win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry for being shocked at the idea that he might not have gotten the job done.
I'm shocked that you're shocked.
No.
No,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yep.
Whatever. All right. Well, I want to play a fun game here now.
Let's play.
Because this is a fun week. It's great. All right. I got to get to the question, though, first.
Yeah.
Aim, summertime isn't a great sports time. There's Phillies, and this year that is going to be great for us. If we go back just 3 years and a lot of years before then, it wasn't a great summer with the Phillies. So there has to be some other thing in sports that carries you through. Because I love the summertime. I'll admit it. When the Phillies weren't all that good and there was no, future of that season, there was few things that I kind of checked out on sports a little bit. There wasn't much for me to watch. You're waiting. I'm sorry, OTAs, Eagles, all you beat people that cover the OTAs, God bless you. And Aim, I'm sure you're going to do some stories on them. I know you will. I just, unless somebody
You're looking
has
for the story in the story there.
Right. Unless somebody has an injury that they say they're done for the season, there's not much that comes out of OTAs. No, Ray, I'm not wishing it or getting it into existence. I'm just saying. Is there any sports like Hook that isn't Phillies related that gets you during the summertime? Now, this year we do have one. We have the Olympics.
I think the Olympics are always a fun one when they come around every 4 years. The thing is, the things that I like you thought about it, or I thought about it when you said go back 3 years. We're obviously always watching the Phillies. So it's like the Phillies are off or they played a different time. What did I watch? What was I doing? Because I don't watch a lot of shows. I just watch sports. Golf is the only thing that can. Sorry, guys. People you looked at me like my wife and daughter were watching a show, and I was like, "Yeah, don't look over here. I probably have no idea what the show is called. It's actually hilarious. I don't watch anything."
Does Sean get on you every once in a while? Aim, can we watch something besides sports?
No, not in that household. It's one-sided. It's all sports.
Because I do get that. Now, God bless my wife. Donna's great at it. She knows I have to watch the sports and all that. But there is I'll say it to her too. So I'm not making this I will say look. Watch what you want to watch. I'll either go downstairs or I'm not really good at watching. I just don't like.
There's some shows that we're we liked to watch shows together.
Yeah, like Wicked Tuna.
No, with the fishing shows. And when you first said that, go back, I thought you were talking about a Bill Dance show, not like these Did you guys not know who Bill Dance is?
No.
Oh, well, that's worth a Google. Somebody out there fishing knows who Bill Dance is. That's what I thought, like an actual gentleman out there, casting out the reel.
I don't mind watching bass fishing.
Well, that's what it was. That's like the bass fisherman, whatever. Anyway, no, I don't know. We watch shows. Sometimes we watch shows about sports. Let's watch Ted Lasso.
You want to watch a movie? Yeah, The Natural's on tonight.
No,
that's
be
the
like,
Fidel Kane household.
Let's watch it. We loved Lasso together. That's a sports tangential relationship. That show is obviously about so much more than sports. But golf. I watch a lot of golf. But the problem with golf is that it's once 7 o'clock hits, it's usually over. So there's not a lot of nighttime viewing in the sports world, which is a dearth.
Sunday nights in the summer, sports-wise,
baseball
are horrible, though. Yeah, and it's usually a baseball team that you are. Yeah, we'll watch like the Braves, Padres, or the Dodgers.
A good team,
something.
But no, Sunday nights you're looking to trying to ramp up for the day and watch a little sports to kind of relax from the weekend. And there's usually nothing on unless you're really interested in whoever's playing.
So one of the reasons I brought it up was because last night, as I told you, the girls were watching something in the main room, so I went into my bedroom, putting away laundry and stuff like that, and I turned on the TV to watch the WNBA game. And Caitlin Clark was playing, and people that listen know that I really liked watching her over her career at Iowa, and I thought it was really cool and all that. She's playing against people that have caught up to her a little bit, and I love it. I'm not here to say, man, I really liked watching her, and now she's – no, I like – this is what I love about sports. I love the figuring out part.
Yeah, because she's going to figure it out.
Well, she has to. Yeah. I love that people are trying to figure her out. I love that they're jumping a 3-game rookie every time she touches the ball. They're double teaming her, and she's going to have to figure it out. Like, that's what I love about sports. As much as I, root and all of those things, I love the mental side of it. So I came to the conclusion last night. Boom. I have my summer sport.
WNBA.
Besides Phillies.
Which I think are with you. I mean, they're having to open up new arenas, and people are clamoring to find out where they can stream them if they can't see them on TV. I think that you're not alone in that.
Yeah, so that was my summertime little getaway there. Ray, do you have any, like, a hook on sports in the summertime? I know you're a huge baseball guy, and we all are. We all have the Phillies game on, and this year we're inning pitch for pitch because they're so good. But there's sometimes, that the Phillies might not have been that great, and it's the summertime, and there's not much to choose from in sports. Do you have something else?
Yeah, still the Phillies.
No, that's fine, too.
And that's like, you mentioned Sunday Night Baseball as like, there's not much Sunday night. That's disappointment for me.
Yeah, I like Sunday Night Baseball.
Working here last summer, hosting, Sunday afternoons, immediately I went down. I would go down. I had a bartender at the local place near me, Northern Liberties. I would sit down, enjoy a beer, watch Sunday Night Baseball. And that was just routine every Sunday. It was like, it's Sunday at 7:30. Yeah, here's Ray walking up again. He's going up to watch Sunday Night Baseball and hang out
when
here.
When you walked in, were they like, Ray,
here's your drink?
My one bartender was. I mean, it wasn't like, a whole like
Norm
applause.
From Cheers?
No, it wasn't. I wasn't that like that at all. No, I was hoping it would get that way, but never really found it that way. But yeah, baseball for me, like a Saturday afternoon down the shore. If like I'm back in the house, or even if I'm outside, I might pop, a baseball game on the radio, listen, just sit out there. Or if I'm inside watching it in between doing things with the family, I just find a baseball game to watch. It really, for me, doesn't get old.
My favorite thing in the summertime would be if we rented a house down the shore for a week. And we did it a lot when the kids were littler. Now with the kids kind of scattered, it's hit and miss whether we do it or not. But there were more than a couple of times we would rent the house for the week, and the Phillies would be on the West Coast. It was the ultimate because you're trying to do everything with the family, right? So, you do the beach during the day, and then we always planned out our dinners, and we would cook a lot. And then afterwards, you play games or you just sit around or go out with friends or something like that. Then when you finally settle in and you're down the shore and it's the best part, and then boom, at like 10 o'clock, a Phillies game's on. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know if life... I swear one time I caught myself laying on a couch with a beer in my hand, just smiling from ear to ear by myself, saying, like, this is the greatest. So, sports hook for summer. There's not a lot to choose from, but I'm glad that I found mine. All right, here's the question I'm ending you with today. And you're going to have to put your thinking caps on this one, and it concerns all 4 Philadelphia teams. Amy, if you could have one player in each of the sport come to the local team, who would it be? Now, I asked this question. I'll tell you right now, yes, there are, like, caveats. You can't say Patrick Mahomes. The Phillies are locked into Jalen Hurts. That's not going to change. So, no, you can't do that. Like, Jokic, I don't think you're going to get him here with Embiid, whatever. Maybe you have something more.
Is it just for this season, or is it for the sustainability?
No, let's go right now. How the teams are built right now. I will start off with your Philadelphia Phillies, Amy. If you could bring one player over from anywhere in baseball to be on this Phillies team, who would it be?
This is obviously a scenario where this player is healthy, and it's Mike Trout.
Oh, that's not bad because
well, thank you.
It's funny. We talked about during the offseason, John Kincade, no, guys hurt too much, way too much, and we would all just like laugh. Like, dude, are you kidding me?
You're going to turn down Mike Trout.
You're going to and then it turns out he can say, see, I was right. He's out again. He's got a bad, this, that, or the other. That's interesting. Mike Trout. Put him in left field.
Bring him
center
over.
field, wherever you want.
Put him anywhere.
Okay. Center field, and he's out. So now you have an outfield of Brandon Marsh, Mike Trout, Nick Castellanos.
Maybe I don't even have that right fielder out there. Maybe I've moved somebody else over there.
Oh, listen to the big wheels turning in Amy's head.
You gave me a lot of outfielders at my disposal. I don't know if I've got Mr. 205 out there right now.
Okay.
Today.
I got a different one. Ray, Philadelphia Phillies, you can have anyone in baseball come over to your team, who would it be?
This might just be a sign of how great things are. I might not even mess with that lineup.
No, it is kind of crazy.
I might not mess with that lineup, and I don't think I'd mess with that.
You're so full of crap right now.
Well, yeah, okay.
You wouldn't bring anybody into this line. You have 200 hitters.
Okay. I could go put someone in the bullpen because I would like
I'm not
another
mad at you,
right-handed.
I was
It
just
does sound
teasing
like you're
with
kind
you.
of disappointed with me. It does sound like.
Disappointed is probably more close to it.
Yeah, okay. If I could get a healthy Mike Trout here, yeah, I'd love a healthy Mike Trout here. I like my infield. The outfield, yeah, I know you need a little more pop in your outfield for your liking, Bob. But that Mason Miller kid out there with the A's, relief bullpen, I know that I could get caught up in the lineup and add some other names. I'll go out of left field here and pick a bullpen pitcher.
Bullpen pitcher.
Come in here and give me a strong right-handed arm.
And I can't believe he didn't go backup catcher somewhere.
No, I thought all three of us would have the same. It turns out the three of us have three different people.
Who are you going with?
I'm picking up a hitter.
How is Mike Trout not a hitter?
And a pitcher.
Oh, Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Where's he going to fit in that rotation? Who are you kicking out?
Somebody.
Anybody. I don't care. Sanchez gone. Walker gone.
Yeah.
Well, for this moment right now, you're not pitching him.
No, not right now. But for now, I'll still take the hitting, and I'll look forward to when that arm heals and he can throw again.
Okay. Yeah, Shohei's a good one.
I just thought in the immediate moment. The
immediate moment. That was I was.
Yeah. Okay. Good point on that one. If I had to
mine's
just go
a pipe dream
this
because
season,
my guy's injured too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I just had to go this season,
Aaron Judge then maybe.
Judge, that'd be a nice one.
Judge will be a nice one.
If I need to keep somebody that's healthy right now, he has to play here tomorrow.
Yeah. I think the only positions we would be looking at is, if we don't go pitcher, but pitcher's a good one, would be either left field or center field.
Yeah, I think it's an outfielder.
Right. Or an outfielder. Or a right fielder, too. Yeah. So it's funny. I'll hit all the other teams. 610-632-0975. Our phone's working or no? We don't even know.
Believe so.
Yeah, I think there's someone on there. I don't know.
I got nothing. I got nothing here, so I don't know. But if you want to give a call and we can get to you, we got Josh taking care of things, so we should be okay.
We're right on track.
But yeah, I'll hit the other three teams too. If you had one player you could add to the current team, whether it's the Phillies, which we just did, Sixers, Flyers, Eagles, what would it be? This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome back as we take you to 2 o'clock, the best show ever with Tyrone, Ricky, and Silvana. We thank you so much for joining us. We put together a fun little thing for the end of the show, and I was asking Ray and Amy who the player they could bring in, anybody they could bring in to be on the Phillies we started with. And we had 3 different answers for that. We had Mike Trout. I don't know. Ray went with some reliever out west, and I went with
only the best one in baseball right now.
Shohei Ohtani. That's pretty cool, though, that you went with the reliever. I love that. That shows what the big baseball mind he has is. All right, let me transfer it over to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, so you had the caveat. You can't just pick anybody because
you can't you can't say Patrick Mahomes because they are committed to. But if you want to, you know what? No rules.
No,
Anybody
okay.
want?
But no, that's fine because that would have been my first choice. But go with we're keeping the rules of like this player. He's not going to usurp another player that's had a commitment from the team in a monetary.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So give me Christian McCaffrey.
Ooh, is that a big step up from Saquon Barkley?
Yes.
Ew, she just. Ew.
Wow, I have not seen that
I've known
before.
you for 20 years, and you've never given me that look.
I'm sorry.
That was disgusting.
I'm disgusted by the thought process that CMC is a slight upgrade to Barkley.
Whoa. First of all, I didn't say a slight slide.
Is that big of an upgrade?
Is that a big upgrade over Saquon Barkley?
Yes.
Okay. I will say it is an upgrade over. Please don't give me that look ever again. My God, I felt like I was home.
It was bad. That was bad. I was a little disgusted. I will have
A
to say.
little. I'd hate to see when you're a lot disgusted.
Last year, CMC should have won the MVP.
He should have. There's no question about it. And that would be cool. But that's what they're hoping to get out of Saquon is McCaffrey-like, where he's catching balls out of the backfield, where you can rely on him to run.
Right.
But McCaffrey's a touchdown a game, no doubt about it.
He's a walking touchdown.
Yeah, he is.
No.
Or a running touchdown.
Everything.
Yeah,
I could throw it, too.
He is a touchdown. Yeah, Ray, how about you? Philadelphia Eagles, you need to bring somebody in. Boom, who is it?
TJ Watt.
That's good.
That is a good one.
That is very good. I was going to go Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons was my second choice.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one I was going to go with. All right, let's go to your Philadelphia Flyers. You can bring anyone in here.
They need everyone.
To be on this team.
Anyone.
Literally.
Well, this is why I held the Sixers to last, because they don't have anybody, so you can bring in anybody.
Flyers are close.
But Flyers, who would it be?
Matvei Michkov.
Oh,
You might be close.
You might see him soon.
Ray just cracked himself up. Look at it. He had to turn off his mic. He was laughing so hard.
He was just so excited to say Matvei Michkov, too.
He might be here soon. You never know. Reports are out there that something might be going on. We'll keep an eye on that. But what about you, Aim?
Connor McDavid for me.
No question
He's
about
so much
it.
fun
That
to
is
watch.
mine. Oh, my God.
Just watching him, I'm like, oh, so it's like when I see a really good golfer, and I'm like, oh, that's not the same sport I play. And you watch Connor McDavid, you're like, huh, that's hockey. I don't know what I've been watching at times.
I don't know. I heard you were pretty good yesterday.
I had my moments. I had
somebody reach in. I had a source reach in and say,
I had my moments.
Tell Amy to tell you how good she played yesterday.
I
So,
had my moments.
all right, we both have Connor McDavid. Where are you right now? Look,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
need to go. Huh?
Oh, sorry. It'd be
Connor?
David.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's really
I was just trying to expand it
at
a little
hockey.
bit.
No.
but You just cut me off.
All right.
Well, you said who was it, Ray? And I started to talk.
Okay.
We'll work
Go ahead,
on
you
it. We'll
carry the
break it.
Ray-
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
break
get
it.
there.
your
We'll get
4
that.
minutes
We'll
of
get
the
that
show.
there.
We'll break it down in the post-show meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about. We'll talk it out.
We're real good at those. All right, now it comes to the 76ers. Yeah, all right, it's interesting because you do only have 2 players. You can pick anybody you want in the league. I don't care if you have Joel Embiid at center. You can pick anyone you want. Who would it be?
This one was tougher because it is so wide open, because there's a lot of different guys that you could think, well, he could really help the team right now. But your requisite was fit. I'm going to have Anthony Edwards.
Now, nobody can argue with that. Love that.
I'd like to see him play alongside Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
That's like a thunder and lightning situation.
How about you, Ray?
That's a really good one. I really like that answer.
Thank you, friend.
Part of me wants to see Durant. I don't know. I just love watching Durant play.
Me
So I
too.
feel like watching him play in Philadelphia would be
It's a great
fun.
one.
Starting to go fit. It's just a wing that can create for them. I'm sorry. I keep going with the same thing. I'm just looking for a wing that could create something for themselves. Please.
It's funny. A lot of our
I could do.
YouTubers have the answer that I had in mind. Did you give a final answer?
Yeah, I'll go Durant.
Oh, Durant. Huh. That's interesting. A lot of people on YouTube are going with the one that I was thinking on, and I was going to say Luka Doncic because just having a playmaker like that and a guy that can do everything makes so many people that much better. And look, he's going to a finals, with Kyrie Irving. It takes a special teammate to get to a final with Kyrie Irving because we kind of know what that entails. And then I started thinking, would I like Jason Tatum? I think Jason Tatum, maybe it's here in Philly, is probably one of the most underrated stars in this league. Ray, my board does not work, or whatever the final heartbreak is. If you could just let me know, I appreciate that, because I don't. Jay in West Philly, I don't. Sorry, we've had trouble with our board. I don't have time to go to you. Hopefully you can call us back tomorrow. I hate to leave people hanging on the line, but I'm up against it, and we're having a couple little troubles here with our computers, so it's all good. But what do we have a hard time, right, or no?
Yes, we do.
I'm sorry.
You are going to go at 1:54:42.
Okay, so we have about 50 seconds left. Amy, it's all yours. Go.
I love that's a little insight into how we operate, and we know what that is. It's whatever the 54 and then the 50. What was it? Like seconds?
Now you confused me. Now I don't know when the hell we're getting out of here. But
I'll just
everybody.
say it in your ear.
Just stop talking. That's usually what the good producers say. Like, just stop talking.
Yeah.
But I love these games because the things are so wide open to talk about who could be, and there's a lot of people that you can have. The good news is on some of them, like we talked about for the Phillies, there's really not much there.
Yeah.
They're kind of like grasping and
shows you how good or how far away your
pop
team
in the
might
back.
be. Yeah, exactly. All right, listen, we want to thank everybody for joining us today, because guess what? We're going to do it again tomorrow,
That's
right, Abe?
right.
We'll be back with you tomorrow. Can't wait. Coming up, the best show ever. We will talk to you tomorrow. This is Middays, Bob Cooney and Amy Fadul, 97.5 The Fanatic.